Oh, yeah, we'll go to the Super Bowl. We got better players at every position.
Yeah.
It's the only way you get beat.
That's dangerous to think about in terms of an almost like a laughable notion, like a player would be in that spot and not, give every ounce of everything on every play. But then you watch the first touchdown, and I've watched it back now a few times here since we've jumped on the air, and you see Mooney Ward trailing the play, and he's jogging, and Bosa is hustling back. But as Reynolds gets to about the 25-yard line, you don't see many Niners bursting full speed to try to get to Reynolds as he all but coasts into the end zone, and that's troubling.
No doubt. By the way, YouTube back up and running.
All right.
So, for the audience there that decided to go get a snack or go for a little dog walk, or if you went to use the restroom, whatever it is, get your butt back to YouTube, please. Get your butt back to YouTube. Now is the time. Now's also the time for Steve in the city. Hi, Steve. What are you doing?
Hey, guys. Not much. I just got off the Presidio. Played nice today, but
good for you.
Thanks. The luck. You were talking about luck earlier. Now they used to call these teams of destiny. Now it was destined maybe for that. Helmet catch. Was that the reverse helmet catch? We were up in the El Dorado up in Reno getting that place was going wild, Dibs. Wild.
Love it.
There. It was great.
That's a good spot.
I was sitting at the bar the next morning, and the game popped up -1.5, and it just stayed at 1. But listen to this one. Right before the kickoff in Kansas City was +192, and my buddy jumped all over it.
Smart. And I would have done the same because I thought Kansas City was going to beat Baltimore. So if you liked Kansas City over the Ravens and you could get them at +192 then, and now you're only getting it at, +105, I think?
The Chiefs?
On the money line, yeah.
I think so. I'll give you an update.
Yeah, so, that would be the smart way to go.
Right now, the Chiefs are sitting at +111.
On the money line.
+111 on the money line. Niners are -131. And by the way, this is where I go. It's just one book. But the book where I go has sent the 49ers back up to -2.
Oh, wow.
Back up to -2, which is where it opened.
Yeah.
It opened at -2. It immediately got bet down to 1, and now it's back at 2. And I will tell you, what happens immediately, that's usually public money. That's not, and again, you do whatever you want with this information.
Sure.
That's usually not sharp money. Waits. They're like, let's take a minute. Let's take a minute and see what happens. So the public came flying in on the Chiefs, which is not surprising. Chiefs did something very impressive. Niners did something that felt wobbly. So Chiefs,
right.
Chiefs. Go bet the Chiefs.
And I wonder if you're a sharp, though, and you like the Niners, if you didn't then jump in when it got down to 1, thinking, what a price, which shuffles it back to 2.
Yep.
Which that makes sense because, and I think that ultimately it'll wind up about where it is. It might dip down to 1.5. I don't think it gets any higher than 2 because, you look at a game that, especially with the 2-point conversion now, 2 is a live number, whereas 1, you're just basically betting on the winner. And yeah, if you win if you bet by, you lay in 1, bet it on the money line, and if they win by 1, well, then you take your push begrudgingly.
Niners lucky or Niners good? Are they playing well? This is what we're batting around today, and would love to continue hearing from you, 888-957-9570. So Matt and Rich and Adam and everybody else hopping in right now, we will come to you next. Hope you were able to hear Hunter Pence, America's #1 49er fan, earlier on the show. If you missed it, go to the Odyssey app. You can go to YouTube, scroll back, and find it there. He was fantastic. He had lost his voice in the game. I think he got it back and re-lost it again on our show. So that was a fun experience also. We're presented by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises, and it's Willard and Dibs. The road to Vegas is brought to you by Marowest Credit Union, working for you today, tomorrow, together. All right, and I tell you what else is working for you. Daisy Dips. It's working for your belly, at least. It's delicious. You absolutely should try it if you're thinking about having a Super Bowl party or be like a crazy person and have a like a Pro Bowl party. You could do that this weekend and go with the French onion and the ranch, both of the recipes that Daisy Dips has brought in hot, and they are absolutely fantastic, filled with flavor. If you know the Daisy Sour Cream brand and maybe you used to do that flavor packet, mix it in there, you don't need to do that anymore. Daisy Dips has done it all on their own with these two great recipes. Again, French onion and ranch. No MSG, no added gunk in there. It is just all flavor and perfect for whatever you'd like to dip in there, from chips to pizza to wings. It all works great with Daisy Dips.
So in a situation like this, we can expect
So, yeah, first weekend without football.
I hate it.
Seriously.
We're down to one game. And I was expressing my sadness to you before at the end of the regular season where you realize you're down to, I guess it would be 13 games. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, man, now you're down to just the one. One game. And this is where
one game.
I missed the Pro Bowl. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And the whole skills thing with, guys, jumping off a trampoline and catching it and landing on high jump mats, it's entertaining. But I miss a good old-fashioned Pro Bowl game where you can't rush, you can't tackle, you can't do anything but run around and play a little bit of grab.
You're saying?
Ask. I'm on Grandy's
For
bad
real?
side right now. So.
You miss that?
I do miss it, yeah.
God, I could.
I miss betting the over at 84.5.
I could do without all of it forever.
I miss it being in Hawaii, and I miss the Pro Bowl. I do, and I didn't watch every snap, but it was kind of nice to watch those guys, snapping towels at each other and having some fun.
I mean, that
watching Sean Taylor blow up a punter.
It's such a reminder that you're like, oh, by the way, you're so worried about losing football for the next 6 months. Here's a reminder that this, too, is also not football.
Right.
So, you want to watch, you can, but this is not going to do it for you.
Yeah, I'm alone in that, I know. And I love the NBA All-Star Game, and people have turned on that as well.
Jeez.
The only one I don't like is the one where they actually try to win.
Baseball?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Hitters can't hit.
But that's the best one.
It's a strikeout fest.
But it's the only one that's a game. It's a game.
The NBA one is exactly what it should be. 3/4 of watch me throw alley-oops, and then 1/4 of we actually try.
I don't even think they're trying for a quarter.
Yeah.
They're not trying for a quarter.
Maybe 6 minutes.
And watching people who are 6'9" dunk because no one's in their way.
Pretty fun.
Not really that exciting at all. I'm like, oh, you're tall. I knew that already. All right. Anyway, lucky or good? Lucky or good? We really wanted to ask this question today because I feel like the 49ers are underappreciated. I really do. That is not to say that they're perfect at every turn, because I never asked them to be. Why are we asking that of them? The Niners feel underappreciated because I've listened to callers at this station all day call in and bellyache. The defense, this, that, Mahomes going to carve that stuff up. Okay. They're in the Super Bowl. They're in the Super Bowl, and they went to the Super Bowl right after an offseason of everybody going, you better go to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl or bust.
Which is really hard to do, and they did. And so my apologies if there are moments, and I know it's not everybody at all, it's not even close, but there are opinions out there where this was sort of what feels like the arc of the last 6 months. Kyle, you don't even know what you're doing at quarterback. You better be right. Oh, okay, you're right. Well, fine. I'm glad you're right, but you've got all the good players, so you better go to the Super Bowl. You better do it. Oh, okay, you did? All right, fine. So you're going to the Super Bowl, but I didn't like how you went to the Super Bowl. Oh, my gosh. Put your face right here so I can punch it.
You left out the Steve Wilkes arc in all this.
Jeez.
Which, Steve Wilkes, you can't stay in the booth. You're terrible. And he comes out of the booth, and it's Steve Wilkes. You're amazing on the sideline. And now it's Steve Wilkes. What are you guys doing? Your defense is no good. So I do know what you're saying in terms of appreciation. You don't feel like they're being appreciated at the same level, but they're not playing as well as they were when they won their first 5, and they're not playing as well as they were when they crushed Philadelphia. But that's football. It's up and down. But they only have to be better than one team in 12 days.
Didn't you get to the playoffs, though, and look back and go, oh, you know what? Maybe some of the things we were looking at we didn't really realize. Like, the Eagles aren't good.
Right.
The Eagles aren't good, so it stands to reason that it would be really much harder to beat the Lions than the Eagles. And it stands to reason that it would be harder to beat the Packers than the Cowboys. Because when you got to the end of the year, those are actually the good teams.
But we can look back at the year and look at it similarly in terms of the opening 2 games where you beat Pittsburgh 30-7, and Pittsburgh turns out they're better than we all thought they were in week 1, and you beat the Rams, and Stafford, dink and dunked you, and and your guy Sean McVegas with a late score to cover the number.
That guy.
But, it turns out the Rams were a playoff team. They were pretty good. And so as you go through the season, you can look at all these wins and losses in a different light and say, well, that was a better win than I thought. That was a worse loss than I thought.
And I don't want to dismiss that things change throughout the season. They evolve. Like the Steelers week 1 are not the Steelers week 18.
Right.
Nor are the Rams. Nor were the Eagles.
Nor
the Cowboys.
were the Bengals.
Absolutely. Like, right. Who's healthy that week? What's going on? What's the situation? I acknowledge all of those things. I just think that it's tough to put that label on a team. You better go. And then they do, and you're like, nah, I don't really like the way it looks. It's like, man, do you guys give credit to the other team at all? Like, are they there? Or are they just the Washington Generals? Is that what you all think about the Niners? They've just got red, white, and blue shorts on, and the other team is hired to show up and get steamrolled? Like, that's not what's going on here.
Right.
This is so hard. And I'm so flippin' impressed that they did it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so impressed that they did. It's so hard when you see it coming and the world's telling you, you better.
Well, that's where the bar was set.
They did.
We set the bar at Super Bowl or bust.
And they did. They're
and here we are in the Super Bowl.
They're here.
And that's why I'm thinking in terms of my own feelings. I have a deep appreciation for it because you watch it and you know how difficult it is. Green Bay was hot. Green Bay played well, and you needed a drive, and you got one, and you got the victory. Detroit was a very good team. They came in confident, and they took it to you. And the Niners did something that nobody thought that they could do because they had never done it. Come back from 17 down at the half with a system quarterback and get the victory, and they did. So I'm sitting here in deep appreciation, and as we get closer to the Super Bowl, I can get more into either worry or angst or analysis or all the above. But right now, 2 days removed from what we saw on Sunday, I'm still kind of basking in that, Mark, and I'm deeply appreciative of the fact of what you just said. It was Super Bowl or bust. You should make the Super Bowl. Well, they did, and they did it with Brock Purdy, and they did it with all the rest of these guys, and here they are. And yes, it's Mahomes, and it's not going to be a slam dunk no matter what happens. It's probably going to be a very close game. And you might be in a situation again where Brock gets the ball back with 2:08 to go and one timeout, and he needs to lead you on a touchdown drive, and maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Yep. But for me, no matter what happens in 12 days, this year has been a success.
Let's hear from some peeps, huh? How about, Rich in Fremont is back. Let's see if he's in a better spot. Hi, Rich. What you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for retaking my call. Sorry about that signal problem. I don't know what was going on.
We got you, bro.
Okay, well, this is the other thing. I was trying to ask you guys, do you know who pays my paycheck?
We do know who pays your paycheck.
That'd be Atco.
Okay, you the man. You the man. You remember.
Friday at 2. What's bugging you? I'm already working on takes for Friday and what's bugging me.
Okay, well, tell your producer he's doing a bang-up job, man. I like that intro from the Rat on the Table. Thank you. So my whole thing,
you're doing a bang-up job. All right, go ahead, Rich.
Off mic fun.
So my take is pretty much what you were saying, Mark. I think people need to just realize that, hey, you asked for it, you got it, Toyota. All right, you wanted them in the Super Bowl, they're in the Super Bowl. How they get to the Super Bowl doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is that they play great when it's time for them to play great. Yeah, I don't like the way Niners have been winning, but they've been winning, and I don't want them to stop. So if they get in a situation like they did in the bowl and they still come out and beat the Chiefs, I'm good with it. Okay, really. And everybody else should be good with it because it's what we really want. Don't come at me with this, I want window dressing on these wins. No. Just get the win. That's all that matters. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Rich. And I'll say this. I've heard this this comparison has been made by others. So I'm puppeting a little bit, but it's a fair one. If you are a San Francisco Giants fan, you know damn well what the word torture means. You know exactly what it means. And it is a more difficult watch. It's a more difficult watch than watching Durant's Warriors. That's like, you can go to the restroom and hang out in there for a while when Durant's Warriors are playing. You go to the refrigerator and you can look deep in the back to see if there's any snacks back there. And if you miss a few plays, you're like, that's all right. Now we're up by 23? Shoot, I thought we were up by 25. What happened? The other team got a basket, you say? Wow. But the Giants' experience is what this feels like. It's stressful. You pace. It's hard.
Yeah.
You text people. You freak out. You think it's not going to happen.
You change seats. You change clothes.
Thank you.
You change your underwear. You change it all. You do whatever you need to do to make sure they get the win.
To get to the end of the day.
Correct.
Yes.
You watch the game from outside. You spend your time in the kitchen. You shoo your baby into the other room.
I mean, we look back on Bumgarner, right? You look back on Bumgarner, but you know what would have been fun if we had all filmed ourselves? When Bumgarner came in for the 5th inning.
Oh, my God.
How many times did you contort your face, grab your cheek, and you hug? Jeez, right? How about balls hit out to left center field, and people start fumbling it out there like, what'd you do?
Right.
You pooped your pants?
Totally.
They thought they were going to lose the World Series.
Grabbing the armrest and twisting and turning the whole thing.
But a decade later, you're like, we won. We won.
Yeah.
That's it.
He pitched 5 1/3 out of the pen on 2 days rest.
Legendary performance.
And threw up zeros.
Well, but legendary performance, and we don't go, hey, and thanks a lot, Hudson and Peavy. What the hell were you doing?
Totally.
We don't do that.
No.
Like, I do believe this, by the way. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union, the smart choice for low auto loan rates and super simple online application process. I bet you agree with this, okay? Because you've brought it up a couple times last couple days. I think it's a real interesting deal. If you took today's media, today's collective consciousness, and you applied it to January 1982 and Joe Montana to Dwight Clark and the catch, I think a lot of people would have shown up the next day and been like, this Walsh dude, I'm tired of hearing him get called a genius. Because a genius, he's not turning the ball over 6 times. And this Montana cat, I know, yeah, okay, fine. You won in the end. But my God, you and your weapons, you better play better. We're going to need more consistency out of you. That might have been the response the next day. I know I was only 7 years old, but that wasn't the response in 1982.
Right.
The response in 1982 looked like Hunter Pence in a suite. Wah!
Totally, with different hairstyles.
That's the response. That's the sum total response back then. I wish there was a little bit more of that. I wish there was a little bit more of that today.
Well, that ship, unfortunately, has sailed, and it sailed on into the deep, deep blue sea because now we react in real time on Twitter, and we rip. And I can only imagine the tweets that were sent at halftime when they're down 24-7 that started with the word fire and, you know, who's getting fired and what quarterback is getting replaced and where are we in the draft and Steve Wilkes, run him out of town and all the rest of it. And where's Nick Bosa? And just everybody immediately taking to social media and burning the thing down as opposed to in 82 where you didn't have that outlet.
888-957-9570. If you want to vote on the poll, it's both on YouTube and Twitter/X on the 95.7 The Game feed there. Which word better describes the 49ers and their journey to the Super Bowl? Lucky or good? Which word better describes it? Both polls right now tracking kind of at about 3/4 in the direction of good.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
That is also good.
I mean, you look at a team that is now, 14-5, I think is the official number. Yeah, 14-5.
Right.
And that includes the Rams loss, which was a loss for the second string. So you're 14-4 in all actuality. And you lost a scheduled game against Cincinnati where they were off a bye and you were heading into a bye. So you lost to Cleveland. Straight up, you lost. Your kicker had a chance to win that, and he didn't make it.
Yep.
You lost to Minnesota in a game where your quarterback may or may not have been concussed and didn't play great as a result. And Baltimore straight beat you. Your quarterback threw 4 interceptions, and you played badly on Christmas. So I look at the totality of the season. Have they always played great? No, but they've won. They've won at home. They've won on the road. They beat their division opponents. They had a great year. And yeah, a couple things went their way on Sunday, but that doesn't mean that it's lucky. It's just football, and good teams tend to make their own luck. That's the thing that I always go back to, and I think about my own career. Was it lucky that I got a break doing TV in Marin doing local games? Absolutely.
Yeah.
The luck was I happened to cold call a guy, and he had his play-by-play man leave 2 days earlier. That was lucky.
Yes.
But it was also good that I took the time to make the phone call and send over my resume tape.
There's initiative in there.
Correct.
There's also being, I guess, opportunistic would be the word.
Right.
Which is, taking advantage of what is presented to you. Nothing can be described in one word. Nothing is ever all lucky.
So Brandon Ayuk is lucky.
Brandon Ayuk, well, he's lucky, but is also incredibly talented to have the spatial awareness that ball was even there, react to it, and then execute the catch.
Exactly.
So a lucky break is presented, and you did something with
execute.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He stayed with the play. He ran through the route. And the other thing we haven't talked about on our show, and I don't know if the other shows have either, but on the opening Niners drive, Ayuk with a huge pass breakup.
Yes.
On that throw from
Could have been picked.
From Purdy, which was that was going to be an easy pick. Purdy threw it right to him deep down the sideline. Ayuk didn't quit, fought to get in there, might have committed OPI, but it's a good no call by Cleet Blakeman and his crew, and he got the pass breakup.
Your boys did a good job in that game.
One flag each. I thought it was one accepted penalty. Maybe that was just the first half.
I thought there were 5. I thought the Niners had 3 and the Lions had 2.
You're probably right. I think I was looking at the halftime box.
Either way, I know it's funny. We compliment the refs when there's not a lot of flags.
Well, they
could be told. Maybe they just missed everything.
Well, they don't. And this is the thing that I have a hard time with, because I guarantee you they didn't miss anything, but they chose not to call certain things that they call in the regular season. We get to the playoffs.
Brock? You didn't like that one.
I think that was a miss.
Yeah.
That was a missed call. Yeah.
Which is fine. There's never been a game.
It was helmet to helmet.
Yeah, there's never been a game when
I just wonder why we get to the playoffs and then we as an officiating group decide that now's the time to, quote, let them play. I think the fan experience would be greater if they had that attitude throughout the course of the regular year.
I'm with you, but we see it even within games. NBA, like the fourth quarter whistle is different than the first quarter whistle.
That's true.
Maybe they're trying to set a tone. I don't know. Maybe they're doing that throughout the season. Look back to last year's Super Bowl. They didn't let him play. Bradbury, hold, Eagles Nation freaks out. Bradbury goes to the locker room, says, no, it was a hold. I held him. You didn't have to call it. But they did.
Yeah.
And by the letter of the law, it was a hold, and onward we go. So that could come up again. There's no doubt.
That's true.
Matt in Seattle, next up on Willard and Dibs. Hi, Matt. What you doing?
Hey, guys. Just thought it was this time once on YouTube. Usually catch you guys on YouTube. Thought it was this time to just call in and kind of chime in on the question about where the Niners have been lucky or they're good.
Glad you did it. Yeah, by the way, let me take your comment, though, and let everybody know that we are back on YouTube. So if that's the way you watch the show, get back over there. Go ahead, Matt. Thanks for calling.
Awesome. Thank you. No problem. And I just want to say wholeheartedly, I think the answer is no. I think we are good. We deserve to be here. And I think back to after the wild card, the Packers, Lions, and Bucks are the remaining teams. And then I was thinking to myself, we're going to play Jordan Love. They don't have the experience that we have. They don't know that we just need to win. We just need to win to advance. And then once it gets tight, there's a belief that we know that we can keep going. And I think that resonated with the Lions at halftime. And looking forward, I think because we played well kind of that second half, then we get the biggest challenge of playing the final boss. In 12 days, been winning my whole life. And I think we are good to really show what we're truly made of. We're going to get this win.
Matt, thanks. There is poetry everywhere here. And I haven't really even taken a lot of time yet because we've got so much time until the 49ers do play the Chiefs. But there is a lot of poetry with this specific matchup being the way that this is all going to play out. The 49ers have a 10-point lead with 6+ minutes to go in a Super Bowl. It craters. The Niners decide within the next calendar year and a half, you know what we need? We need a different quarterback. And then we know the journey that they embarked upon in order to go get that quarterback. And it was a very unorthodox, surprising journey to arrive at Brock Purdy. That was not the plan. The plan was to replace Jimmy, but
with Trey.
Right. But here you go. And now you've got your guy. And it just so happens that he's the last pick in the draft and looks like he's about 3 feet tall. And then you do it. You get back to the Super Bowl after his arm falls off, all of that. You get back to the Super Bowl. You do it with a 17-point deficit erased. And then you arrive. You're like, okay, our 4-year journey has now been completed. Oh, here he is again. The exact same quarterback, the exact same coach, the standard, staring at a dynasty. Make no mistake, if the Chiefs win this game, that word is absolutely in ink for Kansas City. And it all happens in Las Vegas, Nevada. Like, the poetry of this particular matchup is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Absolutely gorgeous.
It's incredible for the two journeys, and you can look at Kansas City's journey back, and, you know, it seems like they're always here, and Mahomes going for yet another one, and he's got his eyes on a bigger prize. Yes, the Lombardi's big, but he's already knocking on Montana's door, and he's thinking about, how do I run down Brady and start to get to that GOAT status? And for the Niners, it's been a long, long time since they held the Lombardi. And of all the people to maybe shepherd you through 3 decades of darkness, it's a guy who was the last pick in the draft, a much maligned Brock Purdy, who was, you know, they tried to pass him over by Trey Lance, but they just couldn't. And injuries and opportunity led him to get the gig, and he's never looked back. And now you look at an opportunity where you're 1 point, 2 point favorite going to Vegas, and not that you should win, but what a golden opportunity you have.
Well, and it's great that the AFC played out the way that it did, the quarterbacks who were waiting, because, you know, all that's said about Brock Purdy throughout the year, you get to the playoffs, and that's not who people thought he was going to have to battle with. He was told all year, well, now you're going to outduel Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott? And he gets to the playoffs, and it's Jordan Love waiting for him.
Right.
And Jared Goff, timing pocket quarterback. For Brock to really hop to the top of the mountain and have people go, okay, we got it. You need one of them dudes, like an unquestioned dude, as your counterpart in the end. And it's not one of the unquestioned dudes. It's the dude. It's the
final boss.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's the only thing left. It's the only thing left. So I love that part of the opportunity. Okay, a lot of you want to weigh in, and we want to get to all you, and we will, okay? So Paul and Harry and Mike and Greg, here we go, okay? We're coming straight to the phones, 888-957-9570. It's Willard and Dibbs.
The Red and Gold hotline is up and running.
That catch by Ayuk was incredible.
Call it anytime. Get excited.
In sports, success is about team effort, and the same is true for your hair. At Great Clips, we save your haircut details in clip notes, so every member of the highly skilled team knows exactly how to create your signature look. Download our app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Phone calls, y'all. Let's go.
Let's do it.
People want to talk.
I'm normally a big advocate of bros before phones, but in this case, phones before bros, Mark. Let's get to the people.
Okay, that means I'm out. Well, I'm just over here pushing buttons.
Come on.
I do need to say something first, really, really fast. I promise.
Go ahead.
Fast. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Willard and Dibs on the free Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcast. While you're there, check out all the other content that we're generating throughout the day, such as Brian Baldinger, really good on the morning roast. Really good on the morning roast today, so go check that out. Hunter Pence, earlier with us. And in fact, if you missed that, we're going to go ahead and rack that guy and bring that back to you coming up next hour, because if you're a Niner fan or a Giant fan or anywhere in between, we think that you'll think that that's about as unique of a conversation as you're going to get. Like, Hunter Pence lost his damn mind in the Niner suites, made new friends, hugged people he'd never seen before, lost his voice, got kicked out of seats, refused to kick other people out of their seats. Like, he took us on a whole damn journey. And he's George Kittle's buddy, and he's wearing a Kittle jersey, and I think that they're pretty much the exact same energy. George Kittle and Hunter Pence.
Spirit animals, for sure.
For sure. It was a ton of fun. So we got that for you coming up. But here we go, okay? Let's hear from you. Harry, Rohnert Park. What's up, Harry? What are you doing?
Wow, guys, I'm just driving home. And, quick takes.
Let's go.
Kevin Durant's Warriors. No, don't say that. He's great. He's great. All-time great. He got all those open shots because of who else is on the team. With regard to our team, our other team, our football team, I think we should be favored. If you take the totality of the season, we laid wood on a bunch of teams. Kansas City laid wood on nobody. Okay? And if we go recency bias, Kansas City scored 0 points in the second half of that last game. We scored, 24 points? So both teams have been uneven during the season. If I was going to, make the odds, I would favor us too.
You stole 3 points from quote unquote us, Harry. They scored 27 in the second half and did it without a Lions point in the process.
Yeah, so we're the better team. We should be favored. The only reason it's even that close is because of Superman on the other team, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's pretty super.
He's pretty good. Harry, thank you. Appreciate that. By the way, just to answer Harry, when I refer to Kevin Durant's Warriors, that's less about meaning that they were Kevin Durant's Warriors and more just trying to put a stamp on which
Warriors you're talking about.
I'm talking about.
We all do that.
The one that Durant was on.
Right. The 2 years where KD was here and they won a title.
It's like a Friends episode. Remember how the episodes have
one
titles?
where,
The one where Rachel gets a haircut or whatever. Yeah, the one where Kevin Durant was on the team.
Right.
Or the two. The two where Kevin Durant was on. You know what I'm talking about.
They were very similar.
Yeah.
Although the second year that they won the title, they were even more disinterested than the first.
Why wouldn't you be?
Right.
Why wouldn't you be?
Well, because you knew that you had to just get to April healthy and then you could go ahead and wreck shop.
They were too good.
But the first year they were really into playing basketball and being good in the regular year.
See, but that to me only exists in the NBA. That dynamic only exists in the NBA.
In terms of shutting it down in the regular season?
Where a team is so good that you're if they're healthy, this is over. You can't you can't do that in baseball.
No.
The Dodgers have been trying for a decade. Nice bubble chip. Anyway, you can't do that in football. The Niners, you could argue, are the ones trying. It's wow, they got a great player at every position.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't guarantee anything.
And you almost lost to Green Bay.
Right.
And you were backs against the wall at halftime against Detroit. So it's a point well taken. The NBA, you kind of can do it because it's best of 7 and talent usually wins out. unless you're going up against an equally talented team. And the old Niners used to do it before the salary cap because they had a Hall of Famer at every position. So you could really kind of roll it out. And I think about Steve Young's Super Bowl team when they were favored by 18.5 over
covered.
San Diego and covered comfortably.
Covered, yeah. Although that team, the year that they beat the Broncos 55-10
yes.
in the Super Bowl, that's probably the best one. That's probably the most dominant.
55-10. I mean, my God.
I mean, people won't remember this if you're of a certain age. The Super Bowl had a habit of being just a stupid old blowout.
Yeah.
It had a habit of it all the time. I mean, go through the Niners Super Bowl titles. Their first one, they were an underdog. They grind it out. They win by 5. And then there's the famous Montana drive where he throws to John Taylor. Obviously, super close game. But 49-26 was Steve Young over the Chargers. You got a 55-10 win. You had a 38-16 win over Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins. It feels like something that just started to settle in about a decade ago. I don't know why. But about a decade ago, this started usually being a competitive close game. But prior to that, there was often like this squad. It's just like, oh my God, that's the team.
Yeah.
And they're at their best in the Super Bowl, and they would kill someone.
That's the way it went.
Yeah.
I mean, going back, you got Tampa over Oakland 48-21. But after that, it was a 3-point game, 11-12, 3-4, 14, 6-4, 3. Seattle beats Denver 43-8.
That one was bad.
That was a weird one.
That was the one the Niners should have been in.
Exactly. Those were the best two teams.
That was the Richard Sherman, Michael Crabtree year.
Right.
Yep.
Then it's a 4-point. You got a 6 in there. You got an 8. New England 13-3 over the Rams.
That one.
That's one of the weirdest Super Bowls ever.
Most forgettable Super Bowl of all time.
13-3.
I don't remember the first thing about that game.
I remember Jared being very confused on many a snap.
Like, I remember Jared Goff was in the game. I just like what was your favorite play in that game?
Oh, don't even start. Come on. The coin toss.
Yeah, you can't remember one play.
Can't remember a thing.
Not a play.
No.
Can't remember a damn thing about that game.
Good point. I'm thinking about Niners Super Bowls of the past, the recent past, and they were favored against Baltimore. 1.5-point dogs last time they faced Kansas City.
Were they? So
in
it
the
was.
Super Bowl,
Yeah. Remember, E thought they were favored by like a field goal.
I'm looking at Football Reference.
They might have been favored to open. I don't think it was by a field goal, but I feel like maybe they were favored by 1, and it flipped to 1 in the other direction by kickoff.
Yeah, I'm seeing it here. Football Reference had it at 1.5. Chiefs favored over under of 52.5.
Whew.
The final 31-20.
So 51.
Yeah.
Oh my
Pay
God.
the under.
Stupid.
I mean, it's crazy how accurate a lot of these are, you know.
That game was so painful.
Yeah.
Let's go to Greg in Petaluma. Hey, Greg. Greg, what's going on?
Hey, Mark. I've been up here for a couple years. Just loved you in Southern California, dude. You were on the radio all the time down there, and when I moved up here, I was so happy to hear that you're on the Bay Area.
Well, Greg, I like radio. It much. I like it much better here. But thank you for saying that.
All right. Hey, and Debs, nice to meet you. It's my first call into you guys, but I listen to you all the time. You know, I am so sick, guys, of hearing about something I've heard for the last 3 years, and that is the system quarterback. What the hell is a system quarterback, guys? I trust both of your judgments to tell me what is a system quarterback in the sense that every coach, every offensive coordinator has a system. They're trying to win the game, and they throw in plays, and they scheme, and they plot, and do all that stuff. Why is it that the 49ers keep getting attacked with Brock Purdy as he's good for a system quarterback? Can you tell me, guys, please? Well, I'll get off the phone.
Yeah, Greg, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for...
Call again, Greg.
Yeah,
man, you warned me.
Well, there's two
From
things...
From the cockles on up.
There's two things that pop to mind
Mark.
with what Greg is saying there, specific to the 49er QB. First of all, the first thing it is a look. It's look. It's a look. It's just a look. And here's what I mean by that. The quarterback who's not the system quarterback is the quarterback that when they're playing football looks like he's playing Madden. And for whatever reason, in our society today, our sports society, we like that. You like that? Yes, we like that. We don't want you to look like Kirk Cousins playing. We want you to look like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. We want you to have some specialized skill, even if it's got nothing to do with winning. Like we did this with Jamarcus Russell. Oh, he could throw the ball 70 yards on his knees. Great. If you're on your knees, you're down. So it doesn't matter. Like that's
got to be touched.
That's pointless. Thank you.
Point taken.
But Josh Allen, like you've got a howitzer and you lead the league in turnovers. Give me the non-howitzer that doesn't lead the league in turnovers. So that's number one. Number two, and I've always thought this is such a fun dynamic here in the Bay Area. As much as Kyle Shanahan, whether it be smugness or never having gotten over the top, boy, he gets under the skin of 49er fans at times. Tucked into everything people say about him are the biggest compliments you could possibly give a coach. If you're yelling about system quarterback, you're also saying at the same time, you've got the best play calls. You're not good. You just have things schemed open for you.
The quarterback's not good, but because of Shanahan,
there you go.
You're able to thrive and succeed.
Right. Fans didn't realize they were saying this, I thought, for years. Oh, this Jimmy G guy. Jimmy no throws. Jimmy G. All right. If that's how you feel about Jimmy, and it looks like a lot of you had some points, well, what are you saying about the head coach who took him to the Super Bowl and had a 10-point lead with 6 minutes to go? Like, you're amazing. You're amazing. You made Jimmy Garoppolo look like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So those are the two things that stand out to me is there's not this crazy physical one skill that we want to point to, and underneath it all is a compliment to the coach.
Yes, and I think the backbone of all this to me is the reality that every quarterback is a system quarterback, and yet many of us in the media have leaned on that moniker of system quarterback as a way to say what we're afraid to say, which is, I don't think that quarterback is very good. That's really what you're saying when a guy's a system quarterback. And Alex Smith came out earlier in the week and said, you are out of the game manager club. You're not welcome here, Brock Purdy, because you're not a game manager. And even the game manager label, that was kind of the disparaging label before system quarterback. Game manager is what we used to call guys who we didn't think were very good. You just manage the game. And Alex Smith was the original game manager because he would go 14 of 21 for $175, and his team would win the game. And so instead of saying, well, I don't think Alex is very good, we called him a game manager. And that's kind of what they're doing to Brock now.
I love what Alex Smith did because in this game alone, I can give you 6 plays that you are not allowed to do if you're going to be a game manager. 6 plays that Brock executed in this game that remove him from the label
Let me see if I can name them.
Go for it.
One was the roll left, floated over the middle to Juwan Jennings.
That's one.
That he corralled.
Yes, the teardrop.
The deep ball that hit the guy in the face, and Ayuk dove and caught that.
Actually, that was not one of my 6.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just an up-the-top throw. Got a good bounce.
The throw to Juszczyk on the sideline.
No doubt.
The toe tapper.
No doubt.
When he rolled and avoided a rush and then spun and then scrambled and rolled again.
Didn't just avoid it. Houdini with the duck under
completely
of the blitz.
I mean, how was he not down?
Yeah.
My spine was collapsing watching that because he got absolutely folded. Probably the Ayuk touchdown throw that he threaded between 2 guys.
These are good examples. There's only one other throw on my mind, and it was
other than 3 runs.
Yes,
right?
it was. Yeah, it was the Juszczyk deep over the middle where he runs all the way left.
Good call.
And not there. We're going to run all the way back to the right, and now I'm going to loft it up over the linebackers to my fullback.
Yeah,
to my fullback.
Shout out fullbacks.
You're going to do that, and then give us 3 scrambles for 52 yards in the fourth quarter alone, all of them for first downs in a come-from-behind victory? What are we doing? You can't do stuff like that and have people call you a game manager. Where's Cam Newton's podcast today?
Uh-oh.
Where's Cam this week?
I call him Scam Newton.
Did Cam have anything to say with Brock Purdy using his legs to single-handedly bring the 49ers back? Cam have anything to say?
You got to Google it.
Batman, Aquaman, Superman. What superhero was Brock? Because he was somebody. He wasn't managing anything. He was making it.
Yeah, he made it happen.
Yeah. Let's go to Mike in San Jose. Hi, Mike. What are you doing?
Just driving home from work right now. I caught a little piece when I jumped in the car, and I haven't really been listening to the radio all day. And you guys were saying something about, like, we weren't appreciative of being in the situation we were in. And after me and all my buddies at work all day were kind of just saying, hey, man, it didn't matter how we won. We just wanted to win the game. And in the end, that's all that really matters. So I think that was like maybe a Raider fan who was bitter who was calling in, maybe a Cowboy fan disguised. But that definitely wasn't a Niner fan saying that he's complaining about a victory in an NFC Championship game when that had never been done the way it was done. So, I mean, I'm definitely happy about where we're at, man, and all we got is one more to go. And you know what? I don't doubt the Magic Man over there, but you know what? I think we got something magical going on this season. So, you know, I would like to know what you guys think about Pat Mahomes and what he's going to bring in his receiving core versus our secondary.
Yeah, Mike, thank you. And again, it's a little bit nuanced, the point we're trying to make. I don't think there are a whole lot of 49er fans that are, quote-unquote, complaining about the win.
Right.
I do think there are a handful of people that are like, I don't know if we deserve to be here. I don't know if this has inspired a whole lot of confidence. I know a lot of 49er fans who are like, if we bring that kind of a defensive effort to Patrick Mahomes, you're going to get torched. I don't know. Sometimes old habits die really, really hard. And you're seeing it with both of these football teams. We think the Niners defense is great. Why? Because they always have been. But they actually haven't been for much of this year. And we think the Chiefs offense is dynamic. Why? Because it always has been.
Because they got Mahomes.
But it's not. It's not. You're all absolutely right. You know how many times they've scored 30 points in these playoffs?
Right. How many times all year? I think 4.
Right.
You and I did this exercise last week or the week before.
I don't remember what the number was, but
it's not many.
It's not much. And this is a team that got 17 points in Baltimore and then sat on that. And they won a football game. I'm not saying they got lucky, but they won a football game largely because every time Baltimore made a run at them in the second half, Baltimore grabbed a gun and shot themselves in the foot, including a fumble at the 1-inch line.
Yeah.
That would have made that a completely different football game.
Regular season, they were 15th in points, and they were 8th, 9th in yards per play.
Mahomes is brilliant, but I don't think the Chiefs are going to run away from the 49ers. They're not. They don't do that. They don't do that. They don't steamroll, hey, we've got 34, you've got 10. They haven't done that to anybody all year long.
Right.
And they don't have unbelievable weapons. Rashee Rice is nice. Kelsey's Kelsey. Everybody knows all about that. Pacheco is an interesting running back, little unorthodox. But there's nothing high-flying and quick about this, which I think could end up being a really good thing for the 49ers. If you look at the Lions offense versus the Chiefs offense, the Lions offense to me is way scarier.
Absolutely.
Especially in an indoor game.
Right. 3 times is the correct answer. The Chiefs had 41 against Chicago, 31 against the fighting Harbaugh West, and the Chargers, 31 against the Raiders.
And that's now in 20 games.
That is
20 football games.
20 games.
Yeah.
They're 14-6 on the year, and they were 3-0 when they got to 30. Interesting note about the point spread. Underdogs have covered 9 of 12. 9 of the last 12 have been dogs.
Super Bowls?
Correct.
Yep.
Your favorites to cover, New England over the Rams, 13-3. They were given 2.5. Kansas City over the Niners, hate to point it out. They were favored by 1.5. They won by 11. And New England over Atlanta, favored by 3.
Oh, my God.
And
they won by 6.
Yeah, over under 57.5. The total over the last 12 games is 6-6.
Oh,
6 overs, 6 unders. So that's just your thumbnail of the last dozen Super Bowls.
What was the spread last year?
Last year was 2. Eagles by 2.
Eagles by 2.
Which looked pretty good for a while. As I was boasting to your kids, couple Trulies deep.
Oh, God. I think everybody should get ready with some more Pepto-Bismol for this football game.
And based on the total at 47.5, you're looking at like a 24-23 kind of a ball game either way. I love it. Bring me some more Jake Moody.
I mean, you know what? On that front, I'm glad it's indoors. If you do look at, I know Moody just missed one on a gorgeous, sparkling day in Santa Clara. So I'm not saying he's not going to miss one just because it's inside. But you think about Cleveland, you think about the Packer game. At least this is a controlled environment for the kicker.
Yeah, Packer game was wet, right?
Yep.
Wet and stormy. And
he had a long one in that one.
He clutch.
A huge one.
Big.
A huge one as it turned out.
And Sunday he had a couple of big ones too. I mean, those field goals that he got. Needed them, absolutely.
I mean, you're down 24-7 and all you did was miss. And they send you back out there for what I think was a 43-yarder, 45-yarder, whatever it was. It's not a gimme.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, dude, I mean, like you needed a touchdown.
Gotta have it.
But
43, you're right.
You need to make this. And he split the damn uprights.
Yep. Added a 33-yarder later.
Yep.
Which gave you the lead that you never relinquished. So,
Moody.
The Moody experience, it's been up and down, but you might need Moody in this one. This one feels like it's going to be a nail biter now. Just whatever you do, Shanahan, don't give Mahomes the ball back with a chance to retake and win. Whatever you do,
you don't have a choice.
Whatever you do it to 0-0-0.
Sometimes you don't have a choice.
I know.
I mean, when Jordan Love got the ball with 1:07 and all the timeouts, were you like, dude, you gave him the ball? Like, you got to go get the touchdown when you get the touchdown.
Yes, I wasn't as worried about a Jordan Love rally as I would be with a Patrick Mahomes, right?
Flipping Mahomes.
Come on.
I have a historical trend if you want.
I like a trend, Lucas.
Yeah, what's up, Lucas?
Hey, guys. It's good for the Niners. We learned today that the Niners will be wearing white uniforms and the Chiefs in red. I don't know if you've looked into this, but historically, the odds have favored the team wearing white in the Super Bowl. This is Super Bowl 58. So in the previous 57, the team wearing white has won 37 out of the 57 times. So the team wearing white is 37-20 in Super Bowls.
Now,
just winning outright has nothing to do with spreads.
Now 4 years ago, though, what were they wearing? The 49ers.
White.
They were wearing white. So
tell him, Grandy. Give it to him on mic. Tell Lucas how you feel about his trend.
Why get facts? Let facts get in the way of it.
I saw something earlier today. I got. I'm not going to say the outlet that did it, but I got. You know, where like you're scrolling on social media and it's like, this stat gives the 49ers a huge edge in the game. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just click. What's the stat? And they're like, the last time the Niners beat somebody who wore blue in the NFC title game, they won.
Ooh.
I'm like,
I believe it.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
37-20.
Wow.
It's like 75% chance of winning.
Last time the Sunday came on a Sunday, then they won.
Woo!
So that's exciting.
Great. Sorry about that.
Should have gone back here.
Presented by Fremont Bank, full service banking, no compromises. We'll get to more of your calls. Stay right where you are. Oh, Auntie Lisa's on the line. Auntie Lisa, you'll be first up. Radish, stay right where you are. We'll come to the phones here in a moment. Hunter Pence, our conversation with him was fantastic. We loved it. We had a good time with it. We'll let you hear that again coming up in just a bit here on Willard and Dibs.
The Road to Vegas is brought to you by Zenni, the official eyewear of the San Francisco 49ers. Shop from over 3,000 styles at 80% off retail prices exclusively at Zenni.com.
We've talked about torture.
Collectible items only. Exclusions apply. Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
I'm going to need you to change your energy.
I wish I was right on the air as much as I was right off the air.
You do get a lot of things right off the air.
Take the Warriors tonight, lay the points.
That was on the air.
Yeah.
Is Joel Embiid playing? Do we know yet? Is he in or is he out?
Game time decision.
I know.
GTD.
But GTD is not actually GTD.
It's currently not GTD.
Yeah.
It's not GT.
We're not going to find out at 7.
So there's been no D.
You do know that they'll let us know. They'll let us know at some point before the game. And yeah, that was a little hot.
It's not GT. There will not be a D until GT.
I'm going to need you to change your attitude. Okay?
I didn't say you needed to change your attitude. I said you need to change your energy.
Oh, my energy is great. I'm fresh off a soup.
Don't you know how the 49ers won that game? Hunter Pence changed his energy.
I'm going to the bathroom at the half, and I'm looking through my phone, and I see Eminem is flicking us off. And I was like, hell no. We're in the freaking Bay. You ain't flicking us off and running us over and us believing how good the Lions are. I know they're good, but we are ready for this. And I just started chanting in the freaking seats. I just started chanting. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. I don't think we got a touchdown, but we scored. They got the ball. I just started saying it out loud. I didn't care. Turnover, turnover, turnover. And we stopped them at 4. And then boom, I just kept saying it every time we had the ball, just touchdown, touchdown. And I mean, it was so fun to watch. And then as soon as one thing happened, I just wanted to yell at every single fan and start high-fiving and start waking them up. And we just started having just the best time. And you could just feel the energy shift in the stadium. Everyone felt our little pocket, and then everyone else started going crazy, and the players started going crazy. And it was a chain reaction. And I think if you saw George Kittle's comment on momentum, and he asked us for it before the game, and when the fans brought it, this Bay Area stayed lit through some tough times. They just gave us one little thing, and we went with it.
Lit! I will say, when Hunter Pence comes in to change the energy, while we're sitting here talking about like good omens and good signs, some pretty good things have happened when he shows up to change the energy.
Yes would come to mind.
Yeah.
And, the reverend speeches, and it's one thing when you're a teammate and you rile up the fellas and you go out there and you get it done and it becomes part of your own self-belief. When you're just a fan, like Hunter Pence, he's really just like the rest of us. And it was me going and getting grandma to come in and take the baby away and making the bed, and you was picking up your daughter and having her change the energy. And some people are stuck in the kitchen because they scored when they were in the kitchen, and now I got to stay here. And some people are watching through the window outside their own house, and everybody's changing their own energy in their own way.
You got to do that stuff, even though it's a big old pile of hoo-ha.
Completely.
Most likely.
Right.
But you got to do that stuff. My favorite one ever. Have I told you this story before? My high school buddies are all over at one guy's house. Actually, the now voice of the Suns, John Bloom.
Okay.
He was always the host house because he had a pool, a hot tub, and a pool table. What else do you need? And so we're all over to his house, and we're watching the Giants game, and this is Bond's era. And I feel like they were playing the Diamondbacks or whatever. And they're having one of these nights where the other pitcher is he's shoving it. He's absolutely shoving it to the Giants. And we're teasing one of our buddies, Anthony. And we're just like, dude, you're a jinx. You're a jinx. They can't hit because you're here. And this is what high school boys do to each other. And we're like, it's all your fault. And so Bonds is finally coming up to the plate in like the 8th inning. And the Giants are down 1-0. And you remember Bonds' era. It was like you could just assume a home run.
Pretty much.
But we just looked at Anthony and we're like, dude, you got to leave. You got to leave because Bonds is coming up. And this is our only hope. So you got to leave. I'm not leaving. No, you have to leave. And he wouldn't leave. And Bonds, ball one. Okay, swing and a foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're like, Anthony, just leave for 1 pitch. Just 1 pitch.
No.
And he goes, you know what? He finally gets to that point where he's like, I'm going to prove to you guys that this is just a big bunch of junk. And he leaves and he goes into the kitchen. And the next pitch, Swing and a drive.
He hits it high.
Head out of here. In right field. Into the right. This is still, I think this was still Candlestick Day. So this is into those bleachers at Candlestick.
Yeah, the football bleachers.
He comes running back in. He thinks we all made it up. Like he hears us. he hears us going crazy, screaming and yelling. He comes in. He's like, yeah, right. And he looks at the TV and he's like, oh my God. And we're like, you need to get out of here forever.
And you guys aren't friends with him anymore.
That's right. Never talked to him again.
Jeez.
No, I'm kidding.
He had to go into witness protection.
No. He's driving some of our buddies to Vegas in a couple weeks. They're going to the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Yeah, talk to him all the time. But yeah, you got to do that stuff. You got to do that stuff.
All that stuff.
Change the energy, man.
And sometimes it works. And my lovely wife, Supper, who's a huge Giants fan, she would sit in the same bar stool in, it was either 12 or 14, might have been 2010, where she watched every single game in the playoffs from the exact same bar stool, and that was it. You know, she would go into the facility, and it was known that she'd be there, and she would get the spot, and that's just the way that went. And they win the World Series, and it's like, right on. You're exactly where you need to be.
Yep. Actually, that was when the curse of Anthony finally went away. When the Giants won in 2010, and he was with us.
Oh, he was?
He was at the game, and he was like, we burned the curse that
The curse
night.
of Anthony.
Yeah, it lasted like 15 years, that son of a gun.
And it's not Anthony, it's Anthony.
Anthony.
I like that.
He's from England.
Anthony.
Yeah,
okay.
Anthony. He's from England.
You've talked about this guy before.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Making it happen with his accent in high school.
No doubt. Yeah, that went well
Moving
for
the
him.
chains,
That
dude.
went well.
Picking up third downs in one sentence.
Very well.
Hello.
Oh my God, I love your accent. Let's go to Auntie Lisa. Hi, Auntie Lisa. What are you doing?
Hi, what's up? I'm loving every second of you guys on the air. Number one, you're giving a great education. You're doing the whole history lesson for me without me having to actually do it. I worked in the classrooms, and I remember the students who sat in the back of the classroom who weren't paying attention missed all of the facts, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the first thing.
Yes.
The second thing is the organization of the 49ers, they spend money on the best, the most skilled and most proven and the most intelligent players, okay, and staff, okay? So that's a historical fact. The 49ers will spend the money to get the best. It does not matter how you win. Are you kidding me? It does matter how you win. How do you adjust? How do you change? How do you change your energy when it comes time to really help the players and help the team make some differences, changing attitudes and all of that? I was a mom in the stands for my sons, and I would literally get out of my seat, out of the bleachers, and walk down to the sidelines and change the energy for those young men, even as a mama, right? And so I will leave the kitchen from my recipe, my gumbo recipe, you know, which is the best recipe, to come into the living room and sit on the couch and change the energy of the room. I can do that. And let me just really wrap this up. At 51 years old, I went back to college, graduated from San Francisco State's broadcast department, all because I changed my energy. Guess where I ended up? I ended up on the radio at Odyssey. And I ended up in the locker room with the 49ers and Torrey Smith of the Ravens and one of our senior sports reporters with the mic in my hand doing interviews with the 49ers. Anquan Bolden looked at me like, where did they find this beautiful black woman? This beautiful black woman is black girl magic. I changed my energy. I made some magic happen, just like the 49ers are making magic happen because they invest in it. They work hard at it, and they're skilled and highly intelligent. So intelligent that you guys can't even figure it out. Just like me, black girl magic. Auntie Lisa, okay?
Auntie Lisa, I love it.
Go ahead.
So much Gator pride.
That's a phone drop right there.
That is incredible.
Auntie Lisa. Yeah, speak it into existence.
Yep.
Make it happen. Change the energy. I'd like a text with Auntie Lisa at halftime of the Super Bowl if it's not going well.
Yeah.
That feels like somebody who can move the mountain.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Much like the Hunter Pence Energy, Auntie Lisa, SF State Broadcast Department, one of the many legions of alums here still in the Bay Area getting things done.
No doubt about it. That was fun.
Tough to follow Auntie Lisa.
It is. It is.
Someone's got to do it.
Anquan Bolden. Who is this beautiful black woman?
Right?
I like it. That's probably exactly what he was thinking. 888-957-9570. David in San Jose. Hey, David, what are you doing?
Willard, Dibbs, what's going on, fellas?
What's good?
Oh, man, I'm pumped, man. What a game, what a game. I had called in last week, called out Bosa, rightfully so. Well, guess what? He stepped up. And so I'll give you a quick little recap. Obviously, we all watched it, but at the same time, there's some things to take away. First, let's keep continuing on our running game, especially facing KC. I think that's ultimately why Baltimore lost. They forgot how to run the ball. But, let's talk about that crackback block that we're still getting, hit on. That I played defensive end, about in high school, but at the same time, that is not a good block on a defensive end, and there's supposed to be communication from the DB to safety to linebackers yelling out crack, crack, crack when it happens, and so you don't get hit blindsided or they fill that gap. So that's an adjustment. Adjustments were made, but look, we're going to Super Bowl, baby, and we got our rematch. Everything is laid out for us. In order to win, run the ball. Now, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but outside of Mahomes and Kelsey, I'm sorry, I think the Lions have a better O-line. They had better weapons all around, so we might even face a superior offense. Now, head coach, obviously, Dan Campbell's new and a little bit of a go-getter, and, he's going to take his chances. Well, so does Andy Reid, right? So if our defense plays, they step up like we all know they have. They've been off for about a month. My goal to winning this game, come out fast. We can't get behind on this team. I'm barely going to feel comfortable if we're ahead after 4. You know what I mean? But let's get this offense rolling with the running game. Let's not get away from it. I like to see Eli Mitchell get 5 touches. If he gets 5 touches, that means we win the game, fellas. So those are kind of my key takeaways going into the Super Bowl recap last week, man, and I'm excited.
Well, David, I will say this. It's for a very good call, and it's for a different reason that I would say this. By the way, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Every single week, our narratives have to change. The silly things we say then get disproven, and we go, okay, how about if we go over here for a second? So in other words, right, for how long has it been now? Oh, my God, you got to score first because the 49ers can't come back. 49ers can't come back. Can't really, they're down in the fourth quarter. The ball game's over. Well, that's the end of that. So now we've had 2 playoff games in a row where the 49ers have been trailing heading into the second half and or the fourth quarter, and they've rallied and won the football game. This one's for a different reason. It's not that I don't think that they can come back on Kansas City. It's that the guy with the ball in his hands, this is a matchup in the Super Bowl of the guy who's done it the most versus a guy who's never done it at all. And that's a lot. There's a lot. This is a lot on Brock Purdy. Like, dude, you're in the Mr. Irrelevant.
You're in the Super Bowl.
26 games later, you're now starting in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And you're doing it against the standard bearer for the entire league. That's a lot. So I do think the Chiefs start this game offensively in a more relaxed place than the 49ers do.
I think so.
And you got to weather that.
Right.
That's all. I'm not saying you got to go up 14-0.
No.
But you got to not go down 14-0. You got to not have that jittery turnover or what have you.
And you've got to keep the run game as a prominent part of what you're trying to do, because just looking at Kansas City's defense, they are 24th in the National Football League in yards per attempt allowed, but in the pass game, they are 3rd in net yards per attempt. Only Cleveland and Baltimore have better pass defenses than the Kansas City Chiefs. So to your point, if you find yourself behind and you've got to throw it, unlike Detroit, which was the exact opposite, very good run D, not a great pass D, this Kansas City team is exactly the opposite. They will get after you. Chris Jones is going to wreck some plays in this game. And it's a shame that Amenahu is not going to be able to play. A shame for Kansas City because he had one of the biggest plays in that game against Baltimore.
He's had a big year.
He's had a huge year for them, and now he's going to be out. But if you're the Niners and you go down by 2 scores or more, it's going to be harder to come back against Kansas City than it was against Detroit.
Hunter Pence, our conversation with him earlier, he was the #1 fan in the building at Levi's. He went crazy. You probably have seen it on social media. And we had a conversation with him earlier today that we're going to have for you again here in just a couple of minutes. But let's keep going with you. Rajesh in Fremont here on Willard and Dibbs. Hey, Rajesh, what are you doing?
Good. How are you?
What's up?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that I heard earlier that the notion that the Niners got lucky, but here's the thing though, no one would be. The thing is, they scored a touchdown still after the Ayuk, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what happened. The DB dropped it. Purdy made an excellent throw after CMC got stonewalled on that first and goal play, and he scrambled very well across the whole game. So, and also I feel like you don't just get a 17-point lead back in any way. I don't care if any team, whatever team that's doing it, the other team has to help you out at least a little bit. And just one last thing, I don't know, I've been on the show since 3, but I don't know if anyone has brought this up earlier, but the Chiefs' defense has been absolutely remarkable. I know everyone wants to talk about Mahomes, but the fact that they lost their safety, Brian Cook, early in the season, and the fact that Mike Edwards went out for a play, and the fact that their third-string safety actually got the interception on Lamar Jackson, I mean, this defense is great on all levels, and they did it last week without Willie Gay.
They're very good, Rajesh, but we've talked a lot about how these 4 quadrants of the game are very different than the last time the Chiefs and Niners got together. The Niner defense probably not as good as it was. The Niner offense better than it was. And it's a reverse for the Chiefs. Their offense not as good as it was. Their defense much, much better. My guess is, and what'd you say the over-under was in the game?
47.5 is what I saw.
What went to my head is 24 points probably wins this game. I think that's a great target number as an offense to say that's the goal, and the goal as the defense is to not let them get to 24. I think that's a magic number in this football game.
And I do think for the 49ers, and we'll get 12 more days of full-on breakdown here on 95.7 The Game, it's going to be time of possession more than ever before, being able to run it, keep it, and keep Mahomes off the field. Even though their offense is not as explosive as it has been, it's still Patrick Mahomes, which is why I said last week I'm taking the Chiefs to beat Baltimore in that game because of Mahomes. And Travis Kelce is going to be a nightmare for anyone to cover, especially if you're going to allocate linebackers to him and you're going to give up some of that run support. And Isaiah Pacheco is a handful on the ground. You want to keep Kansas City off the field, and you don't want to fall behind. Kansas City second in the league in sacks, second in the league in pressure percentage. And they do it through the blitz a lot. They blitz 1 out of every 3 pass plays. So it's going to be a whole different look for Brock Purdy with this Kansas City front coming after him.
Well, you remember there were teams early on in the year that thought that was exactly what you needed
Giants,
to do.
right?
The New York Giants blitzed at like a record-setting percentage. It was well over 80% of the time. And that did take him a minute. It took him a minute. He threw something in the first quarter that probably should have been picked. George Kittle broke it up. He was shaky out of the gate, but then he figured it out. This is the one thing about Brock that I absolutely love, which is he may see something early on, and Spagnuolo is fantastic. He's going to see some things that may force him into a mistake, but he's very good at adjusting to those things on the fly, keeping his brain from getting overwhelmed, provided that it doesn't snowball. It happened one time this year. It was against the Baltimore Ravens. It snowballed, and he got knocked out of the game, and the Niners had their worst game of the year. But that's kind of what I mean about that initial onslaught. I think the Chiefs will start the game a little bit more relaxed. They've been here more, and the 49ers will have to weather that. And if they do, then I start to like their chances a little bit better. But if it's not going well, who are you going to call? Hunter Pence. That's who you're going to call, because he was an absolute monster in the stands over the weekend. The video has gone viral.
Hell no.
He's wearing a George Kittle jersey. He apparently lost his voice. It was a whole thing. And
we're in the freaking freaking Bay.
There you go. He was kind enough to sit down and have a conversation with us about it a little bit earlier this afternoon on Willard and Dibs, and we started by asking him about his 49er fandom, how he's adopted the city of San Francisco as his own, and therefore, how did this 49er fandom develop out of that?
Man, it's literally, it's easy. It's like I live here now. I've been here. I've been breathing it, but I also know the people. I know, George Kittle. I know what he's going through mentally, the work they're putting in. I've been following the team, listening to the story. I've been watching them for years. I was at the game when we lost to the Rams, following the Super Bowl that we lost, the heartbreak of Purdy getting beat. And I'm in it. And I care about these guys, and I've witnessed this team be great and be, kind of robbed of that and heartbreaking year after year. And I kind of had enough, and I know, I believe in these guys, and I know it's their time, and I'm going to find a way to send energy. And you know what? If you know me, I don't care what you want to call it woo-woo. I believe in energy. I believe in momentum. And I know I've been on the field and felt it when fans go crazy and back you up. And I wasn't about to let the doubt of that first half stop me from going crazy. And I wanted to get some of the fans riled up. Just give me one thing to go crazy about. And the Niners started off with that. And I just knew that they would feel us getting wild. And I knew that the Lions would feel it too. And you saw the pressure start to tighten. You saw the fans going crazy. And it was really fun to watch. I'm just going to ramble here because I'm in the zone. And
ramble on.
Do it.
It was like one of the coolest experiences ever. So, we're watching the first half, and we're shifting around in our seats. We're trying to find the energy. We're trying to find the spot, and we just keep, the Lions did what they did in that first half, and everyone's like, man, Jared Goff is so good, and the Lions are just running us over. We can't stop the run game. We can't. I was like, enough. I'm going to the bathroom at the half, and I'm looking through my phone, and I see Eminem is flicking us off, and I was like, hell no, we're in the freaking Bay. You ain't flicking us off and running us over, and us believing how good the Lions are. I know they're good, but we are ready for this. And I just started chanting in the freaking seats. I just started chanting, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. I don't think we got a touchdown, but we scored. Well, they got the ball. I just started saying it out loud. I didn't care. Turnover, turnover, turnover. And we stopped them in 4. And then boom, I just kept saying it every time we had the ball. Just touchdown, touchdown. And it was so fun to watch. And then as soon as one thing happened, I just wanted to yell at every single fan and start high-fiving and start waking them up. And we just started having just the best time. And you could just feel the energy shift in the stadium. Everyone felt our little pocket, and then everyone else started going crazy, and the players started going crazy. And it was a chain reaction. And I think if you saw George Kittle's comment on momentum, and he asked us for it before the game, and when the fans brought it, this Bay Area stayed lit through some tough times. They just gave us one little thing, and we went with it.
Were you getting some 3Com vibes, some AT&T, some Oracle Park vibes when it started to turn that in that second half back to 2012 and 2014, where those crowds would lift you guys to those wins?
100%. You got like the pandemonium vibes of the Ishikawa homer. It was really witnessing greatness and witnessing something that has never been done before. And this team has already made history on many levels, and they did it once again. No team had ever come back in a championship series, NFC championship game from down 17 at the half. And you knew they were capable. We know the talent that this team has. And you felt the team's greatness. They've been through it, but you also felt the fandom that has that belief, that has that faith, that will go crazy at the spark of a dime. And I'll even say this, something that was really cool when Journey was doing the halftime show, and it was, I know this is weird, but I just remember, like, I was feeling the pinch of how bad it was looking, right? It kind of cripples you a little bit when you're just getting run over and you're watching these guys that you love so much taking it. And you know that they have it in them. And the cheerleaders, and I know that this is their job, but I thought it was awesome. They were literally going ham to Journey, and they were just having the best time. And it was like, all right, like there's some movement here. We're not – because I watch sports. I love sport. I get inspired by it. And you watch teams, when they hit some adversity like that, stiffen up. You watch fan bases, like the air gets sucked out of the stadium. And like I felt that as a Giant on the road against Kansas City, where this loud, obnoxious crowd went completely silent when Bumgarner came out of the mound in Game 7. You could hear a pin drop. And like when that stiffness happens, it leaks into everything. So like the players created that movement. They created that spark. I don't know what they did at the half, but I do credit. It takes all of us, and it takes. My goal is just to send the energy. I don't know if anyone believes in it or not. It matters to me, and that was something I asked in 2014 for the fans to do whatever it is that makes you feel like you're sending the energy to the greater cause. And a lot of people have told me stories of what they did. They said they were driving around when we started on a rally and they wouldn't go back into the house. I've heard these stories. I heard one fan I was talking to the other day, he locked his wife out when the Warriors were in the finals because they got the lead with 2 minutes left. And she had just gone outside, and he was like, "You got to stay out there for 2 minutes." She agreed to it. She was like, "All right, I guess I'll do it." And 2 minutes in basketball is like 15 minutes. So that's the kind of fans we have in the Bay Area. Bay Area Unite. And I know, E40 is number one. This is the dude. And, I mean, being around his presence, what he means to the sports here, having him in our celebrations, watching him show up and show out, obviously getting turned to a lot of his songs, Tell Me When to Go, it just hits different. And so it was a special moment to be a part of all that and to really, learn the culture here and live it, breathe it.
He is the biggest 49er fan who's ever lived. Hunter Pence is joining us here on Willard and Dibs. Hunter, you said you believe in changing the energy. We were taking calls all day yesterday, having fun with people going, what'd you do? What'd you do to change the energy? I shared the story of I went and picked my daughter up, brought her to the party. Everything changed. I gave her credit throughout the second half. What did you do? What did you specifically do to change your energy at halftime?
I literally told you, I stood up and just started chanting like a crazy person. Touchdown Niners, touchdown Niners. Just like I wouldn't stop saying it. And then if we didn't make the play or whatever or move the ball, so what? Touchdown Niners, touchdown Niners, touchdown Niners. The whole second half, that's all I did. And, like, everyone in the booth was telling me, don't move, don't move. Everyone was staying where they were. We were definitely dialed in. I went to see my barista the next day, getting my coffee. And he was like, man, I didn't get to see the game until the second half. And once I got there, I was like, dang, I'm glad I'm watching it. And I was like, you brought it. Like, so there were so many people everywhere just doing what they could. We are back in this team, and they are showing up and showing out. But I'm glad to hear that y'all did a little something too. Where it's not just us; it's the radio. Y'all are bringing it for us.
Yeah, it's everybody, Hunter. We got a ton of calls yesterday and texts, and everybody did something to try to change that energy. And so now we got 12 days to figure out how to get the energy right heading into Super Bowl Sunday. What's your plan? I have a feeling that you're going to be heading down there and trying to bring that Hunter Pence vibe down to Vegas.
I don't have a plan yet for that, but we'll see what happens. I got a pretty busy schedule so far, but I mean, obviously it's the Super Bowl, it's the Niners. I'm going to be watching it and sending the vibe. But I definitely was envisioning that red and gold confetti, because we knew that the confetti was coming if the Niners when they told me this, and it wasn't coming if the Lions won. And so I was just sitting there trying to visualize it for them, trying to see that confetti coming down. I'll be there in heart. We'll see if I can get there. I've never been to a Super Bowl. So if there was one to go to, this would definitely be it.
Right.
Especially after that performance and being a part of witnessing that. And, man, like E40 said when they said, how do you feel about the Niners' chances against the Chiefs? He goes, we are going to demolish them. Like, that's all you think about. We don't even listen to the question of anything. We don't know who they are. Come and see the Niners. The Niners are coming. We are the best. And I will not think or say anything other than how great this team is. Nothing else enters our minds, Bay Area. We are going to demolish them. Thank you, E40.
Hunter Pence is with us. And, Hunter, I want to ask you about the characteristics needed by this team in this game. But let me start with this. Have you gotten close to some of the guys? Are you tight with George? Or who are you close with?
Yeah, I would say George is the one I'm the tightest with. I've met in passing a couple of the others, Fred Warner and Juice and McCaffrey. But, I have George's number. I send him congratulations in the big moments. And, man, I just like the whole team, and you can see it. It's authentic. You can't fake that these guys care, that they're bought in, that they're playing for a higher purpose. And, it's special. And they've been doing it for a long time at a very, very high level. And I feel like we've had enough. It's their time. It's their time to create history once again, the greatest history that never gets erased.
Well, we always say in a cliched way, maybe, like, that team has the heart of a champion. And you've won championships. These guys you're talking about, as accomplished as they are, they have not. So if you're sharing with them or even just hoping for them a specific characteristic that they're going to need in this game, what is it?
That's a great question. And if I'm going to say a specific characteristic, is that there is no other option. There is no wavering. It is like, to become a champion, you have to come from not being a champion first. You can't just be a champion before you've ever done it. So no one is ever a champion out of you come from out of nowhere, and it is your time. And you have to literally there's no taking no for an answer. It doesn't matter what the score is. It doesn't matter. Like, literally fall in love with the same thing you've been doing, and you've seen them coming back and finding ways to win games no matter what. But literally uncompromisable, locked in, and playing with that same flow that they did. They find a way to make the clutch play. They're doing, like, absolutely insane things. Like, if you witnessing that IU catch, it's happening for them because there is a determination. There's a collective will. That is, there is no other way. There is no opponent. It doesn't matter who's out there. Fall in love with playing the game. Don't even worry about winning the game. Fall in love with playing the game and going out and earning your greatness that you already are. There is no compromise to that unwavering certainty of you being the Niners, who are the best team already right now. Go and be it. Go be who you are.
Hunter, I tell you what, I find this to be so interesting because, what we're literally talking about here is you've almost become one of the individual logos of this city, a spokesperson for the city in many ways, even though you're not from here. So that means to me that this city is extra special to you. Therefore, I got to know what you think about and what you say to people who get involved in this conversation about MLB free agency and how the city itself is becoming a detractor to people joining the Giants. What are your thoughts on that? What do you want to tell prospective free agents?
I mean, come and win in this city and get a part of this culture and the subcultures, the history, the support, the passion, the creativity. The greatest minds live here. There's been so much creativity and world-changing, world-breaking people, thinkers, doers. There's some of the greatest food, some of the greatest, there's wine country, there's Napa, there's Hillsburg, there's Sonoma, there's movie creators, the biggest business, the tech world. There is movements that come from this city. There is championships. Look at the Warriors. Look at the Niners. Look at the Giants. These are championship cities. And if you want to move the world, it starts here. This is a spectacular land, a spectacular people. It is the most beautiful, breathtaking countryside in all of the world. So there's no doubt. They need to hear that, feel that, and they will know that. We just got to continue to be ourselves. I think we have great people in charge that are going to take the helm, and they're not going to, excellence is what's expected here. So I know that we're going to get there. Are we always there? Did I win the championship every year I was with the Giants? No. We constantly are striving and reaching for that, and that does exist and belong here. And I'm reaping the benefits of that work and of that passion, of that drive in this great city. I'm treated absolutely incredibly in some of the most wonderful, amazing places that are honestly planet Earth and the world has to offer. So there's no doubt. I'll go pitch to these players and let them know.
Nice.
Just let me know, and I'm out there.
Well,
I got you. The area, it's awesome.
Hunter, you're an absolute gem. I only have one other question, which is this video that's popping around on the internet of you going absolutely bananas in this suite. Did you know any of those people, or were you just hugging strangers everywhere?
I don't know if I feel right about saying this, but I'm going to tell the truth. We got kicked out of our seats in the one spot, but it was a weird situation where I guess Fox had Journey, and we were in the booth, and they gave you a seat number, but then they said just sit wherever, and so all the seats were kind of empty, and we were sitting in where the guy who sang the national anthem seat. So obviously I get it. Like, they have the cameras on Journey and they have to have their seat, but I was not about to kick someone out of their seat. So the booth next to us saw that happen. He was like, "Hey, come over to our booth." And I have a saying in life: if it works out, great. If not, even better. Because things are always working out for my greatest good. I jumped over to the other booth and I had a wonderful time. And the Niners were like, "We'll get you your seat." And I was like, "I'm not kicking anyone out of their seat. I want them to enjoy the game. I care about that. I can watch it from the TV or whatever." So we go over to that booth. They give us the seat. We meet this great guy, this great gentleman, and we have the time of our lives. And everyone went bananas and berserk. And so I made a new friend. And I've been invited back to come back next year, so I'm excited for that as well.
Perfect.
I think we need you in Vegas.
Yeah,
I think you should be there, Hunter.
I mean, I guess I got to try to figure out a way to get there.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
I think the energy in the building would be a good thing. That's just my opinion.
Listen, I will lose my mind yet again. I will give everything I have. Take my energy, Niners. You deserve it.
Hunter, thanks, man. Great to hear you.
All right, y'all. Take care.
Hunter Pence, how about that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's Hunter Pence like you've never heard him before, especially the part where he's going through puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go to the Super Bowl.
It's pretty funny.
Oh,
he was super excited. Yeah, I'd like to get he and George Kittle in a really small room and let him just have an excitement off.
How about a staring contest?
Right.
That would last 28 minutes. I mean, both of them have what John Madden used to call linebacker eyes.
Yeah.
Like they look at you and they're just like, man, those lids look like they're about to climb through the ceiling of whatever room you're in.
And they both have that heavy look of crazy to
right.
them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you never know. You never know what might happen. Did you see the clip of George Kittle saying exactly what would take place and how he was going to be on the podium? And he said, "I told you." And then they have the clip of him saying in the second quarter how, I'm going to say after the game how it was real cool that the Lions had the lead, but here we are at the end.
Yep. He kept saying, that actually wasn't my favorite part because he kept saying that. I can't wait to the end of the game where I can say, boy, not going to lie, back in the second quarter, you had us. And so he speaks that into existence, but the whole video shows how many times he did that.
Right.
And there was one time where he went over to Brock Purdy and he said it. And Brock kind of looked at him like, I think I'm going to throw up. And George realizes it. And he immediately sort of pops out of my joke that I'm like running material with everybody. But he notices that Brock looks down.
Brock's response was, okay.
Yeah. Brock just is like, it was almost like, dude,
all right, dude.
Do you know when you talk to when someone talks to you when you're like nauseous? Don't talk to me. Like don't talk to me. I'm going to puke.
Yeah, it was last week actually on the show.
Thank you. That's what it looked like with Brock. He was just like, great. Thanks for the joke. I'm not happy right now. And George pops out of it and goes, keep having fun. You're the guy. And that's the stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that every human needs when you need it. And you don't know when you need it. And for him to assess that quickly, because George has been to a Super Bowl. George has seen it all. George has made the money. George is a nut job who can handle all of that. And that's something we really forget in our unfair Brock Purdy discourse throughout the last year and a half. 23 years old, hasn't seen it all, and wasn't really prepped for this. He got thrown in, and it's happened, and he deserves all the credit in the world for it. But this is still a young pup who is encountering new situations, and a week from Sunday will be another one.
Well, how can you be ready for it?
Right.
Even if you're an 8 or 9 year veteran, and when you go to your first Super Bowl, you're not ready for it. And Brock is not ready for it. And he'll get out there, and there'll be the anthem. There'll be a whole week of hype. They'll go out there on Sunday, and they'll go through practices and walkthroughs, and media day will be something he's never gone through. And there's going to be an absolute gaggle around Brock Purdy and good questions and stupid questions. And, Zaza, that's a good question, but that's also a stupid question. And all of that and more. And then you're going to get to the game and the anthem and the pyrotechnics, and it's going to hit him. I'm in the Super Bowl. I'm quarterbacking the Super Bowl. So there's going to be some of those moments of course, he's not ready, right, Mark? I mean, he's never done it. Mahomes would be like,
Yeah, February.
Exactly.
This is what we do.
This is what we do in February.
Second weekend in February. I don't make plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. He's not just doing all those things you described. He's doing it against Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
I mean.
Well, just to do it, I think about any championship game when you're a starting pitcher and you're going to start a game in the World Series. It's like, oh my God, I'm starting a game in the World Series. But that's still not the Super Bowl. That's not, and it's one best of 7 and, you come out, you get cuffed around or whatever, you last an inning in the third, and it's a bummer, but maybe your team picks you up, and we'll get them tomorrow because it's only game 1. This is the Super Bowl, and you're going to have, 500 million people watching worldwide or whatever the number is. It's an astronomical number, and Taylor Swift in the house and Usher at halftime, and this is something that nobody's ever experienced unless you've done it.
I don't know how you keep your wits about you when you start to describe and really think about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like Will Clark's first at bat. You know what I mean? You get to the major leagues and you're like, oh my God, everything about this moment. Here's my first at bat. And you strive to the plate, dig into the batter's box, and then look up and Nolan Ryan is staring at you. Like that's this. Except for this time, as you said, 500 million people are watching, as opposed to just Giants fans who are like, I like this rookie. Let's see what happens.
And what happened in that at bat, Mark?
Yeah, he homered straight away to center field on the second pitch.
The thrill.
In the freaking Astrodome where you didn't hit home runs to straightaway center field. And you're hoping that Brock Purdy handles his first whatever the exact same way. But, the only pressure that goes down is the fact that I now think we've arrived at a spot where if he loses, it's not embarrassing now. Like now you're in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Like if you blow it against the Packers in game 1 as the 1 seed in your home building, it's a very, very different vibe.
Absolutely.
So from that perspective, like if there's somebody I don't think anybody is, but we always do the who's playing with house money. To a degree, it's not Kyle, but it is a little bit Brock.
Sure.
It's a little different for those two.
I like that way to break it down because it's not Kyle. And if you want to talk about
Kyle,
who's under the most pressure, coaches, players around the horn, it's Kyle Shanahan.
Agreed.
And it's not close.
Agreed.
Because Andy's, how many do I have?
They've done it.
I can't even remember how many of these things I have. And Mahomes, even if he doesn't win it and get closer to Brady, well, I'll try it again next year. I guess we have a pretty good team and I like where we are. And, Travis gets to go home with Taylor and be the second most popular person in his household. And Brock's a pup and, McCaffrey and Kittle and all the rest of them. Trent might have some pressure because he's nearing the end of it, but all eyes on Kyle Shanahan because if he loses, just like New England and Atlanta, when you blew the 28-3 lead.
Wow. If he has a lead. If he has a lead.
Even if it doesn't, they all come out of the woodwork. They can't win the big one crowd.
There's a piece of me, and this is like the cosmic sort of thought. There's a piece of me that's like, of course the Niners are going to be leading in the fourth quarter.
28-3?
Not 28-3. That's the way the world works. Like, the world's going to give this to us again. Can you do it this time?
Maybe 17-10.
Yeah. Not a big lead. But a lead, another Super Bowl lead, and Patrick has the ball.
Oh, don't.
How you going to do this time, Coach?
3rd and 11. 3rd and 11 from midfield.
Here comes Nick Bosa. He gets held again.
Rashee Rice instead of Tyreek Hill.
But this time, Dre Greenlaw bats it up in the air, and Fred Warner picks it, takes it the other way. I don't know. Or maybe another floater is going to land in the lap of a safety and he's going to drop it again.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Mark. Stop it. Where's the Hunter Pence energy? We're speaking things into existence here on Willard and Dibs.
I'm telling you that the Niners are going to lead in the fourth quarter because that's the way the world works.
Yeah. Feels like that. I mean, that makes sense. And, if it really works that way, then Mahomes drives them down and they score. And now they're either up 1 or it's a tie game. And okay, Brock.
Yeah.
Okay, you want your Hallmark movie?
Sure.
You want this thing to be a horror film, or do you want it to be a rags to riches Disney story? I mean, what are we doing here? I do think that Brock is going to have plenty of chances to be the hero, but I also defend what you're saying in terms of Brock as the GOAT. Even if he goes out and has a game like he did against Baltimore, I don't think you can I won't look at Brock and say, well,
that wouldn't be good.
No.
That would not be good.
It would be a bad end to the story. It wouldn't be good for the movie either.
Yeah, I'm with you. But yes, like he got back to the NFC title game and won.
Right.
And now
he won down 24-7 at the half.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that, you and Lucas were relating what Kittle said exactly to him, because there's going to be a whole lot of that over the next 12 days. Like, Brock, just go have fun. We got you. You're the guy. And it's just football. Don't worry about the hundreds of millions of people watching. Just go play football. Throw it to me.
I honestly, just throw it to me whenever you're down.
Totally.
I do think that he actually, to borrow a phrase from Steve Wilkes, he's built for this. I think Brock handles that well. What I don't think he handles well is losing. I think that, you know what I mean? I think he's very, very intense. I think he's all the things that he doesn't look like. You know what I mean? He plays bigger than his size. His heart is bigger than it looks. He will forever look like a kid walking home from school, but he's none of those things. He's dog. He's dog. And so I don't think he's going to cower from the moment, but if it's not going well, I think he's really hard on himself. And that's what George saw.
Yeah.
And that's what George tried to get him out of. And eventually they did. I don't know who was the key or whatnot. Steve in San Jose on Willard and Dibs. Hi, Steve. What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
So good.
Hey, man. The second-time caller, long-time listener. Just calling about the NFC Championship game. Man, what a game, man. I've never seen my family so fired up. We were all down at halftime. I looked at my dad and I said, hey, listen, what you need to see from Brock Purdy is the second half. And this is what we've all been waiting to see. And, he looked at me and he was throwing in the towel. And, I told him, I said, hey, this is what makes great quarterbacks great. And he ended up pulling it out, man. I'm just super stoked, man. I've been watching a long time, man. Baltimore Ravens, Chiefs. I mean, my God, man. Let's go.
Steve, I don't know how it'll go here in a couple of weeks, but I do think this just about life. Life sort of presents to you what you need to show yourself, what you need to show that you can do. Sometimes it presents it so that you can see that you're not ready. Like I've had that happen. I had that happen very early in my career where I was sort of granted an interview meeting. Boy, thank God I didn't get that job. I wasn't ready. And the interview went horribly. But I needed that. I needed to know, dude, you're not ready.
Yeah.
So just take your time. It's almost like when it's 1st and 20. Let's get 6 yards.
I actually got the job that you're speaking of.
Okay.
It was a radio job as a producer and a board op, and I was doing traffic as well. And after about 11 months, it was, why don't you come on up to my office after the show? Gone.
Yeah.
And, looking back, I wasn't ready. It was a great opportunity, and I couldn't pass it up. And that company would eventually hire me back to work on a different station. But exactly what you're talking about, like, when you kind of know, too, it's like, I'm not ready for this.
And I don't want to get woo-woo about the last 2 games for the 49ers, but it feels that way. It's like the whole world wanted to know if Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy could come from behind. So the world presented them a couple of opportunities. Well, green check. Now what? So that's actually why I think the Niners might play this one from ahead. Maybe that's just because what I'm hoping for. But I also think in this particular matchup, that's what the 49ers need. They don't really need to prove, nor can we handle emotionally another huge deficit and a rally back. This matchup, the Chiefs and Shanahan in the Super Bowl, the world, it feels poetic to me, will present the opportunity of, you got a lead. Can you protect it?
Yeah. I think this one feels, and we can get more into it over the course of this week and next, but this one feels like it's going to be a tight affair, start to finish. A lot more field goals than the touchdowns that we saw in Detroit and I predicted, I think, 35-24 Niners over the Lions. I was looking pretty good at 27-24, and even at 34-24, I was thinking, I almost had this one right. Not bad, Deborah, not bad. And the Lions with that tack-on touchdown. But this one does feel to me like what you were saying before. 24 might be the number. If you can get that 24, which means red zone. If you're the team that gets the red zone touchdowns and not settling for red zone field goals, that might be the difference maker in this game.
And these two teams are both, I don't know this. I don't have the rankings in front of me. These feel, if you gave me, like, who's your quarterback, who's your running back, who's your tight end, and who's your play caller, we need a red zone touchdown. It's first and goal at the 7. I feel like these are two of the teams that you want. These are two of the teams that do really well in that situation. Maybe the most underrated play of the entire win over the Lions was after the Brandon Ayuk catch. And you're down there at the 4-yard line, and in your mind, you're like, well, they're going in.
Right.
Well, they went backwards, followed by backwards more.
Yeah.
And they're looking at 3rd and goal from like the 7, and a field goal does you nothing. And so the whole defense knows you're throwing the ball, and you've got to get it past the goal line. And my man had 1 second to squeeze that between two arms into Brandon Ayuk, and he did it.
It was an amazing throw.
Huge throw.
And Niners #1 in the regular season in red zone touchdown percentage, 68.5. Kansas City's 19th.
Really?
19th.
That's interesting.
At 52.7%.
They are not as dynamic as they used to be.
Right.
No question.
And that is where it becomes interesting. Last year, Kansas City was #2 in red zone efficiency, 71.1.
Wow.
And the Niners were at 52.8. So we've been beating this drum all along about the difference between these two teams, going back to 2019. But even last year, Kansas City was great in the red area. Niners were mediocre, and this year it's exactly the opposite.
All right, we're not done with the calls. Stay right where you are. Jonathan and Mo, 888-957-9570. We got Warrior basketball tonight and a little bit of an update to give you about the starting lineup, actually. So that is all coming up next on Willard and Dibs.
The Red and Gold hotline is up and running.
Bang, bang, not again. You're going to the Super Bowl.
Call it anytime. Get excited. Go crazy.
hell no. We're in the freaking Bay.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, go check out Hunter Pence if you missed the conversation. Go check it out. Odyssey
Hell
out. Really, really good.
Hilarious.
That was a unique look into somebody who knows how to relate to an audience. You don't often get that from a pro athlete who's like, yeah, when the sport changes to different uniforms, I become one of you and lose my ass the same way y'all do.
We're in the freaking Bay.
Well, especially just hearing him say that and realizing that he's not from the Bay, but he is of the Bay.
Yeah.
And so now he's one of us. And it's not only because he won the 2 World Series titles, but he feels more a part of the Bay Area fabric than Buster Posey, for example.
That's an interesting one. I mean, Buster, I get where you're coming from.
I know you don't want to turn on Buster, and I'm not asking you to, but in terms of
But I mean, Buster is someone who moved, like, I think there are other examples maybe that are even better of like people who have succeeded a lot here in the Bay Area. But I mean, Madison Bumgarner to me would be even better example.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one.
That's somebody who's a World Series hero, but he may never visit here again.
Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of somebody who is here, who lives here.
Yeah, I hear you.
Hunter feels more like a part of the fabric just because he's out there acting like a lunatic at Niner games, and it's not really Buster's bit. So no disrespect to Buster. He's too busy trying to goad Farhan into some action, and I saw that the word is Bellinger likely to wind up with Chicago.
That's
saw
felt
a
that way
report
for
today.
a while.
So
that's felt that way for a while, but I also buy
the donut bet.
Well, but I buy that none.
Right,
Scott Boras, you're not gonna get good info. So whoever it looks like he's gonna sign with is probably not who he's gonna sign with. But
the old Boris okie doke.
Bellinger's never been the favorite in the donut derby.
The donut bet.
Matt
the donut
Chapman
derby.
Matt Chapman's the favorite in the donut derby.
All right.
But we'll see. Warriors back in action tonight, 7 o'clock. Sixers are in town. No Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid is a maybe. Warriors Live starts at 6, just mere moments away with Evan Giddings. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the Xfinity 10G network made for streaming live sports. And Steve Kerr has confirmed his starting lineup will be Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and Draymond Green. So he sticks with the lineup that he's been using recently and added the comment that we're going to commit to this.
Good.
For a little while.
A little while?
Yeah, at least until Andrew gets traded next week.
That's what Steve said.
He left that part out. I added that part. I added that part.
9 days till the deadline.
Yeah.
Inside of 9 days. It's a week from Thursday. And in the beginning, I thought Wiggins for sure was getting dealt. And then the whole tragedy with Coach Decky and where this team has kind of slipped into a funk of we can't stop anybody. I still feel more and more like a move is unlikely, but then you look at all the rumors out there. There's a lot of names being thrown around. And I know Zach LaVine would be a no from you, dog,
dude,
in terms of an acquisition.
No, thank you. I mean, in a big, fat, neon block letters, no, thank you.
The one player that I would want them to really go after is a guy who's probably not available, and that's Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
Word is that Utah's probably not going to make him available in a trade. So other than that, what are we talking about here?
I mean, something that's probably maybe even Farhan-esque, if you will. There might be something below the margins for the Golden State. Yeah, exactly.
Damn it, Farhan!
I'll tell you what has emotionally happened for the Warrior fan, I think, in the last 3 weeks is that your openness to a Kuminga trade has gone down. I would say that's the Warrior fan in the last 3 weeks has decided, please don't do that. Don't do that unless it's amazing and what's out there that's amazing. You know what I mean? Are you really going to trade Jonathan Kuminga in favor of trying to win this year? It feels too far-fetched. He's been too effective in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I am rooting hard against a Jonathan Kuminga trade.
I think that he is off the table. And now, in terms of who might you trade, who would you want to trade? Well, Chris Paul, because it's $30 million and he'll be gone anyway.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins, and I think that's partly why you're seeing him start and you're seeing his minutes go up because it's a showcase and they want to show the league recency bias. Hey, this is the Andrew that we all know is out there. And Andrew's been playing better.
He's not been awful. Like not even close to that.
No.
He's not, but I don't know. It's redundant with Kuminga, obviously. I don't know what it is that fits anymore with Andrew Wiggins. But he's not a nothing. He's definitely not a nothing.
Right.
We'll see. Super Bowl week is going to get interesting. That's for sure. Mo in the city with Willard and Dibbs. Hi, Mo. What are you doing?
Hey, guys. So this is my mea culpa moment because I called you guys last week, and I was saying how I can see how Lamar Jackson is in the MVP conversation and not necessarily Brock Purdy, because if you switched up those quarterbacks and put them on the other teams, the team with Lamar Jackson, you could see them go all the way to the Super Bowl. Well, boys, look where we are now.
Look where we are now, Mo.
We got the Niners and Purdy, and we have Lamar and the Ravens trying to get into a Super Bowl party to watch the 49ers play. And you guys were right. You were saying I can't make this kind of fantasy comparison for MVP. It's got to be what has Purdy and Lamar done this year in the regular season and in the playoffs? How have they played with the teams that they got? And that's really the only comparison they need to do to say if somebody is an MVP or not. And you can't do this fantasy comparison of, what would happen if he was on the other team and blah, blah, blah.
Well, Mo, you're a big dude for calling back. That's awesome. But I will also say this. Thanks, Mo. Lamar is still going to win the MVP. These playoff games do not get factored into the whole thing. The votes are already in. They've already been tabulated. They already know who won. Lamar is going to win the MVP. I think we can all fairly, if you want to be rational about this, you can walk away from it this way. I know everyone loves to talk big. Lamar is going to win the MVP, but the idea that Brock Purdy could be and should be included in that conversation is an absolute lock. Like, absurd that so many of you have had to swing the pendulum so far, which started with, that's ridiculous, Brock shouldn't be in the MVP vote. And then he is. And then he's leading it. And then he has one bad game, and everyone goes, see, it was laughable that you ever even put him in there. And here comes Ryan Clark. Well, the hardest thing I had to do all year.
Right.
Stop. You don't need to swing the pendulum so far in the other direction. Of course he's involved in the conversation. He has factually finished in the top 5 in the voting. He's not going to win it, but whether you think he's the best quarterback out there or not is irrelevant when you're having a conversation about that season's MVP.
And it's also irrelevant when you get to this spot and he's one of 2 quarterbacks remaining. So I'm sure if you ask Brock Purdy, would you rather be playing a week from Sunday or be the MVP, it would be a non-answer, because it's obvious he would rather be in the Super Bowl with his brothers trying to win the Lombardi and end this 3-decade-long drought, as opposed to being where Lamar is, waiting on a trophy ceremony and figuring out where he's going to buy his Daisy Dips. You're welcome.
Safeway is the answer.
Thank you.
By the way.
Set you up, scoreboard. Let's go.
Yeah, Lamar would rather be playing another game later on this year as well, but he ain't.
Yep.
The Warriors are about to play a game, and that means Warriors Live is right around the corner. It's brought to you by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. Warriors Live, Evan Giddings ahead of Dubs and Sixers around the corner and throughout the evening here on 95.7 The Game. You want to do it again tomorrow?
I do, Mark.
All right, let's do it again tomorrow. For Dibs, for Grandy, for Lucas, I'm Mark. Shoot your shot. It's all you got. The road to Vegas is brought to you by Marinwest Credit Union. Working for you today, tomorrow, together.
The following is an attorney advertisement. If you get sidelined.
60 minutes before every game, we get you ready for tip. It's Warriors Live, and it starts now.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Warriors Live, presented by Xfinity, the Xfinity 10G network made for streaming live sports. Evan Giddings with you live from the Ballast Point Tasting Room here up on 16th Street by Chase Center. It is buzzing. We got, I think, a 20-person party filing in behind us. 50 more people are in the back. We got Warriors jerseys and even a couple of Philadelphia 76ers jerseys, because that is who in town to take on the Warriors here tonight. Might not be Joel Embiid. Probably not going to be. In fact, it will not be Tyrese Maxey. Will not be Nicholas Batum. But the Sixers are in town right now, 7 games above 500, taking on the Golden State Warriors, who are in much need of a victory as they round out the tail end of this particular homestand. Final home game before they hit the road for 5, and it is here on Tuesday night at Chase Center. So we welcome you into Warriors Live. We appreciate you tuning in here on 95.7 The Game, as we do every single Warriors game 1 hour before. Tim Roy's got you at the bottom of the hour. And then, of course, your play-by-play action alongside Tim Tolbert, all 82 games on 95.7 The Game. Well, the big news outside of course, Joel Embiid maybe being in, maybe being out for the Sixers, is the Warriors pregame. It sounds like they're going to be committed to the starting lineup we saw on Saturday. After that double overtime thriller, unfortunately fell by a point to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now the last 9 games the Warriors have played, fallen by a point. That contributing to it. LeBron James sinking the 2 free throws in double OT after Steph Curry hit the go-ahead shot with a few seconds left, and that resulted in their now 24th loss of the season, 19-24 overall, 5 games below 500. But one of the promising and positive points that came out of that basketball game is a new starting lineup. And it seems like we're talking about this every week, every couple of weeks. Now 13, I believe, different starting lineups throughout the 43 games that the Golden State Warriors have played. But Steve Kerr was talking about pregame, the fact that they are going to be, quote, committed to that lineup of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and Draymond Green, who was a plus 31 on the game on Saturday. They're committed to that starting lineup moving forward, at least until they start to get the rest of their big picture type pieces back in, or potentially they make a move at the trade deadline, which is coming up 9 days away, February 8th. That is the opportunity for the Warriors to either add, subtract, shuffle things around. And right now, looking ahead at the schedule, they pretty much got 5 games until then. They got tonight and then their 5-game road trip beginning in Memphis, Atlanta, Brooklyn, Philly, and then, of course, Indiana. That game is on the 8th of February. So a couple of opportunities here to sort of see where the Warriors are at with their starting lineup. And this is the way that I look at it. The starting lineup, for maybe the first time this season, appeared to be a net positive right from the jump. They came out with force against the Los Angeles Lakers. The combination in the front court of Wiggins, Kuminga, and Draymond, I think, gives them their best defensive unit right now for this season. But this is where I'm at with it. If this isn't a starting lineup, that taking a look at the next 6 games and really the 5 games you have before, of course, you have to make the decision on February 8th, since that's the 7 p.m. tip. You're going to have to make the trades before that point. Really, the next 5 games, including tonight. If this isn't a starting lineup that you can envision, if you're the Golden State Warriors stacking wins, then you have reason to try and potentially move off of pieces of it. Now, I don't think that's going to involve, obviously, Steph Curry, but according to Shams Charania of The Athletic, everyone else is on the table. I don't think it involves Kuminga, but it might involve Wiggins. It might involve Draymond. It might involve Klay. I'm less inclined to believe the latter would be on the move in Klay Thompson, but we'll see. Right now, everything is in front of the Warriors. Everything is also on the table. And so the commitment to the starting lineup, sure, is something that sounds nice from Steve Kerr, and I think it provided dividends and provided a benefit to them on Saturday against the Los Angeles Lakers. If they don't turn that type of commitment into W's and they don't start doing it soon, this is a starting lineup that I see could be kind of moved around, quite literally and also figuratively, at the trade deadline. So the other big part of the game here tonight, as we continue here on Warriors Live, presented by Xfinity, live from Ballast Point Brewing Company, is the fact that Joel Embiid may or may not be on the floor tonight. He did not play over the weekend against Denver. He did not play in the Sixers' lopsided loss last night in Portland. So 3 games and 4 nights for the Sixers. They got the back-to-back here this evening after getting drubbed by the Trailblazers. This is a team that right now is looking for where's Joel Embiid is at. Now, he allegedly hurt his knee, or that's a report, hurt his knee, but that also potentially hurts a league qualification for an All-NBA, for a most valuable player, for a DPOY, and this is kind of where I'm at in Joel Embiid. He's a game-time decision. That's the official report. But right now where I'm at with Joel Embiid, and specifically the larger league in the NBA, is Joel Embiid not playing is dumb, right? You don't want to see that. You want to see the best players out there. You want to see them marketed. What I also think is stupid are the league qualifications for league accolades if you don't play. Because if the entire rule created around the new CBA was to disincentivize... Oh, and we're getting food here at Ballast Point. More on that in a second. The entire idea was to decentivize players from sitting, from not playing, from resting, for using BS excuses to not be out down on the court and being the entertainers that they're paid to be. However, if Joel Embiid doesn't play tonight and makes it 3 in a row, I'm inclined to believe that is not about rest. It is not about him trying to rest during a road trip that include a trip to Denver, Portland, as well as here in the Bay Area. But it's about a serious injury. And right now, the games in which he needs to qualify for these awards are dwindling. So per the new CBA, there's game requirements to qualify for league awards. Again, you cannot win the NBA Most Valuable Player Award, Defensive Player of the Award, Most Improved Player of the Award, as well as make the All-NBA and All-Defensive teams if you don't play 65 regular season games. That, to me, should not matter if you are Joel Embiid, if you're Nikola Jokic, if you're Giannis Antetokounmpo, if you're Steph Curry. If you are a Most Valuable Player candidate and you play 60 games in a season, you should be up for the award. That's just the way that I see it. Because I also don't see that these new incentives or league qualifications from the CBA de-incentivizing players from resting. Now, I think that it's coincided with teams like the Clippers this year being more healthy. We've seen players like Kawhi Leonard, of course, Paul George. They had kind of been poster boys along with the Spurs going back when they were competitive with Greg Popovich. We've seen those type of teams really take advantage of the rest. But this year, there hasn't been much of that because they've been healthy. That, to me, has nothing to do with them sitting out games, and it doesn't really point to me in support of the new CBA game requirements. I just see that penalizing a player like Joel Embiid, who I would love to see play tonight. But right now, I think he has about a 5 or 6 game bump as to when, if he misses those, he's not going to be able to qualify for the MVP. And to my eyes, he's been the most valuable player this season. He's averaging nearly 36 points. And in fact, he is the first player since Wilt Chamberlain that actually, well, technically Michael Jordan, I think, did this in the late 80s, that would be averaging a point or better per minute. MJ was very, very close, and I think the 88 season when he averaged about 34 to 36 points. Joel Embiid is averaging 36 points now in under 36 minutes. That's something that Wilt Chamberlain has also done. He's in conversations with Chamberlain. He scored 70 points not too long ago. And this is a guy that everyone wants to see. I just think it's dumb that he's getting penalized if this guy is actually hurt, because he still is, in my mind, the most valuable player in the NBA. Okay, enough about that. And more about this. Just want to show you. Is it cool if I show the people, Jess? All right, Jesse Moore, Odyssey Extraordinaire here. Promotions is going to let me show you some of the cheese curds right now that we got here at Ballast Point Brewing. Get on down to the brewing company and the tasting room. Fantastic food. We also got a prime rib sandwich over here, French dip. We got some kimchi coming. Last time I was here, we had tacos. Also, I've tried their chicken sandwich, which is phenomenal. Their double smash burger, which is all time. And it is a great place to enjoy their fantastic beer. A reminder, by the way, that we want to tell you to grab some tickets for the Gala SF Beer Week, which is starting the week after the Super Bowl. Again, starts on February 10th, 2024. They're rolling out 4 new beers here at Ballast Point Brewing. The Bourbon Barrel Aged Bred Raspberry, which is a 4-month-old aged sour wench. That sounds delicious. A blend of the Commodore and Victory and Sea styles that they're also rolling out. American Stouts, Imperial Porters with coffee. I don't know about you. I need my dark roast. I also enjoy the Imperial Porters. A little bit less on the stout side, but with the coffee, I'm all about the Imperials. an ale nog that sounds fantastic. And finally, their Calm Before the Storm, which is a cream ale returning after many years. And a big shout out to Ryan Rowland and Aaron Moran for creating this beauty, Calm Before the Storm, a cream ale. So 4 brand new beers that are going to be released during SF Beer Week. You can also grab your tickets at the Ballast Point website for their gala, which is starting. You can get in early. You can try their beers. You can try the fantastic food, which we just mentioned and showed you here on the YouTube and Twitch feed, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. So it's a fantastic environment. We got Curry jerseys in front of me. I saw some, I think it was Sixer jerseys behind me coming in here, but it's a great place to catch a beer, grab a sud before the game. Ever, if you're down here by Chase Center, it's just up the block at 16th Street. Call Mike Alvarado. Get him on the line. He is our man here, their manager at Ballast Point. We do love him, so shout out to him. As we move forward here on Warriors Live, presented by Xfinity, it is time now for the Injury Report, brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back for over 40 years. For more information, visit boxerlaw.com. So again, mentioned the fact, got the little tirade off my chest about Joel Embiid, but primarily the league award qualifications. That said, Sixers got a lot of players out tonight, and they also had a lot of players out last night when they got beat by the Trailblazers, as crazy as that sounds. The following players are out tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers. Nicholas Batum, ruled out of today's game with a hamstring injury. Tyrese Maxey with an ankle injury is not going to play, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Robert Covington is also out with a knee injury, out 3 to 4 weeks as of last week. And then DeAnthony Melton, a player that some fans should be familiar with, was out in Memphis. He's also done. He's not going to be playing for tonight as he is reevaluated in a week. Also a back injury for him. And then Kenneth Lofton, who's a forward, adds a little bit of depth to the Sixers front line. He's out with a personal injury and is inactive. The two day-to-day, the two game-time decisions and questionable decisions right now that Sixers have to weigh are, in addition to Joel Embiid, I think the MVP frontrunner right now should be able to stay healthy, as well as Marcus Morris Sr. So he's questionable with a foot injury tonight. Not sure if he's going to play, but it is going to be a depleted front line for Nick Nurse's Philadelphia 76ers. Meanwhile, on the Warriors side, though they're not getting anyone back as far as their injuries, we did receive good news today. Per Anthony Slater of The Athletic, the Warriors announced on Tuesday that Moses Moody and his calf injury is making good progress in his recovery, so he's been cleared to practice. That likely means we're going to see him soon. I expect to see him sometime during the 5-game road trip that's coming up beginning this weekend. Also, Chris Paul right now, reevaluated in a couple of weeks, per Anthony Slater, so we're not going to see him before the trade deadline. Might not see him in all, in fact. He may not be wearing a Golden State Warriors jersey in a couple of weeks. That is TBD. And then finally, the reevaluation coming soon for Gary Payton II, who, of course, has missed a lot of time, had a calf injury earlier in the season. Right now, he's nursing a hamstring injury, and that was announced on Monday that he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So that's the update. Moses Moody, bright news there. The rest of the guys are going to be sidelined for some time, that being Chris Paul and Gary Payton II. Okay, with that, because I also am kind of leaning towards Joel Embiid not being available for tonight. I don't have any sources in the Sixers locker room, although I do have a buddy who works with the PR staff. My feeling is that he's not going to push it, essentially, tonight, Joel Embiid. So my take it to the bank prediction presented by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises, is based on the idea that Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Nicholas Batum, essentially 3 starters of the 5 for the Philadelphia 76ers will be inactive tonight. Your take it to the bank prediction, you heard it here first. There will be no clutch time tonight. The Warriors have been in close games for seemingly the entirety of the season. 32 games that have been considered clutch games, decided by 5 points in the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter or overtime. I don't want to see it. I don't think it comes to fruition. If Embiid's out, if Maxey's out, if Batum's out, if the rest of these frontline and depth players are out for the Philadelphia 76ers, there should be no reason for clutch time tonight because of the brand new starting lineup for the Warriors. I do think that they get back in the win column tonight, and I see them being able to do it without getting into a high intensity, close down the stretch type of situation. That is your Take to the Bank prediction presented by Fremont Bank's full-service banking. No compromises. I reserve the right to renege on that. Of course, if Joel Embiid is active, I just do not think he's going to play in this game after not giving it a go each of their first 2 games on the road trip, being, of course, in Denver as well as last night in Portland. All right, what's on tap? Brought to you by Farmers Brewing. Have you tried Farmers Brewing yet? If not, it is time to put your lips on a farmer. What the Warriors got coming up, simply put, ladies and gentlemen, it's a lot of road games. They have played 25 of their 41 home games already. Tonight is going to be number 26, compared to just 18 road games that they have played of their 41 on the season. And that's going to make things even tougher for a Warriors team that right now is 5 games below 500. It's a big reason why these 5 games before the trade deadline, I think, are essential. 1 at home here tonight, and then the 4 on the road before the February 8th game in Indiana. They got a lot of home games coming up, including the 5-game road trip that I mentioned starting on Friday in Memphis. But you get 7 of 9 on the road, and even looking down the line through the month of February, 11 of the next 16 games for the Golden State Warriors are going to be on the road. So that'll kind of even out their home-to-road split before ideally a stretch run to the season that could culminate and then trying to fight for a play-in spot, to fight for playoff position. That, to me, is kind of the best-case scenario for the Warriors at this point, because I'm not looking at them as a team that is completely dead. Now, they might need some resuscitation. I mean, if you're looking at a coffin right now, I don't know if the body's necessarily in the hardwood, but it's getting close. Like, the Warriors are at a point in their season where they need to start, if they are going to, turning this thing around. And I believe that they're going to do so for a couple of reasons. One, most importantly, because they have no choice. They don't have a first-round pick this year. It's not as if tanking at this point of the season is beneficial to them from the standpoint of adding, of getting better position. I think the top 5 protection that their pick in Portland currently has is out of reach. Even if they were to continue to fall, I don't think they're bad enough to catch the other ferocious teams, shout out Low Neal, in the NBA. So right now the Warriors are in a position where they have no place to go but up, and hopefully it starts tonight against a very depleted Philadelphia 76ers team. So what's coming up, of course, is a lot of road games and also the trade deadline and a chance to post a 500 or better month starting, of course, in a couple of days on Friday. But why not just start it today at the end of January? What's coming up next in February is a chance to post a 500 or better month for the first time since October. Now, that unfortunately has been where the Warriors are at this season. They have not played much, even when they have gotten their 5-game win streak in December rolling. They have not, over the course of 30 days, been able to play consistent enough to play winning basketball. In November, they went 6-9 in 15 games. In December, they went 6-7, had the 5-game streak, but then, of course, got cut short due to a couple of floundering performances down the stretch of that month, mainly Christmas against Denver, and then, of course, the 2 home losses to Dallas as well as Miami. They went 6-7 in 13 games in December. And then so far here in January, this is their final game of the month. They are 4-7 in the month of January in 11 games, and they have a chance to cap it off with a victory. But again, they have not been 500 or better since all the way back in October, since the 3-1 start for the Golden State Warriors. So this is a chance upcoming here on the road. I know things are looking bleak, but they can turn anew. They can hopefully dig themselves out of this hole. I just think they need a really big shovel in order to do so, and maybe it has to do with the starting lineup that we're going to see tonight. So Evan Giddings with you here on Warriors Live. Again, we'll send things out to Tim Roy at the bottom of the hour at 6:30 before the 7 o'clock tip between the Warriors and the Sixers, game number 44. Right now the Warriors are 5 games below 500. The Sixers, meanwhile, are 29-16, and they are probably going to be without Joel Embiid, who is a game-time decision tonight. I think that obviously bodes well for the Warriors. They got some good news about Moses Moody coming back soon, hoping to see him on this road trip upcoming. And to me, again, if we're looking at the trade deadline, I think the Warriors are pretty much between a rock and a hard place. And I want to expand upon this more on Warriors wrap-up, so make sure to tune in after the game. And again, we'll be taking your calls all throughout the night, ideally after a Warriors victory, and if not, we're going to have something to talk about as well. But I want to expand upon this idea about the trade deadline later in the evening. What pieces could be feasible for the Golden State Warriors? What pieces could be heading out for the Golden State Warriors? And I think it is all tied in to the starting lineup here tonight. because what I saw on Saturday against Los Angeles was obviously a much better unit. However, the bench that they have right now is pretty depleted because you've moved all of your scoring into the starting lineup, into the starting five. Jonathan Kuminga was coming off the bench providing you some punch. He's now in the starting five. Andrew Wiggins, who was in the starting lineup beginning of the season, then moved to the bench, at the very least could give you some scoring. He's now back into the starting lineup. Then, of course, you're never moving the Splash Bros out of the five. Draymond Green's back in. He's not much of a scorer anyways. So right now, your sixth man or best offensive threat off the bench is probably Dario Saric. And that, to me, is not a place you want to be. Chris Paul is expected to be the sixth man when he returns, but by the time the trade deadline comes around, he may not be there. So how do the Warriors continue what has been a very good second unit without the presence of a scorer? That's something I'm looking at, because if this starting lineup can't put the team on their back, essentially, and win games like tonight, well, then you got to think about what you're going to do at the trade deadline. You got to think about if you can flip some of these pieces and start looking forward to next season, not in the sense you start to lose, you start to tank, because it doesn't matter, you don't have your pick, but how do you set yourself up, pardon me, these are rented lips, ladies and gentlemen. How do you set yourself up for financial flexibility moving into the summer? Those are the questions that the Warriors have to weigh in. And really, their next 5 games, they don't have a lot of time to do it. So the commitment that Steve Kerr said pregame in his press conference to this starting lineup is something that, in my mind, it has to work. You're up against the wall. You have no other choice but to throw what is supposed to be your highest potential lineup onto the floor. And I think it's because, ideally, you're going to feel the impact of Draymond Green. I know that he's not a player that he used to be. I know defensively he's not in the DPOY conversation anymore, and he hasn't been available this year due to his own actions. However, in 123 minutes since his return, Draymond Green has been a plus 65. In the game on Saturday in double OT against the Lakers, again, that was separated by 1 point. He was a plus 31. The Warriors couldn't win that game because they couldn't win the non-Draymond Green minutes. As soon as he left the floor, the paint opened up for everyone and their mom on the Lakers side. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. Also because pretty much coming back into the starting lineup, they had a 114.2 defensive rating, though that doesn't sound necessarily good in a league in which it seems like everyone is scoring 40 or more points. Just in the last week, we had, three games of 60 or more? Actually, 4 games of 60 or more. Kat, Devin Booker, Joel Embiid, and then, of course, Luka Doncic, who their last two scored 70 and 72. Draymond Green, in this first game back, had them at a 114 defensive rating. That is below league average, and much better, of course, than what the Warriors had been in his absence. So I think Draymond Green being able to bolster this starting lineup and starting 5 defensively, it has to work. And if the commitment to the starting lineup isn't rewarded, well, then you're going to have to make some very difficult decisions. Again, one that I will expand upon on Warriors wrap-up coming after the Warriors and the Sixers go toe-to-toe. 7 o'clock tip right here. You can catch all the action with Tim Roy and Tom Tolbert on 95.7 The Game. But coming up next, we'll send things out to Chase Center and Tim Roy, who's got the remainder of Warriors Live in your pregame programming moving forward here towards Golden State and Philadelphia. Warriors trying to dig themselves out of a season low, 5 games under 500. They'll have a chance to do so coming up at 7 o'clock. My name is Evan Giddings saying so long from Ballast Point Tasting Room. Again, get down here on 16th Street, right up the road from Chase Center. Beautiful brand of brews, burgers, and all the rest. I'm going to dig into some kimchi when we're done right here. But thank you for listening to this edition of Warriors Live presented by Xfinity, the Xfinity 10G network made for streaming live sports. We'll talk to you after the game on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Spring is free at the College of Alameda. There's something for everyone. You can study any way you want, in person, hybrid, and online-only classes.